Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Former Action Guys podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Justin Kramer. Today, I have my buddy Nate Garens on. He's a junior at the Ohio State University. I have to say it that way or my dad will beat me. He's studying accounting and Chinese. So his perspective on the COVID-19 or coronavirus is pretty interesting. It was good conversation. We talk about the different reactions we've had with the politicians and the public and stuff like that. So overall, really good conversation there. If you want to hear more about his full background, which he was a 5th ANGLICO guy, he was also a 1st ANGLICO guy, then he came to 10th Marines, and he and I taught the JTAC and JFO primers together at 10th Marine Regiment. If you want to hear more of that, go back to episode 9 and check out his full episode pre-video. Now we're on video, so if you didn't know that already, make sure you're subscribed to the new Former Action Guys podcast YouTube channel. Give it a like, leave some comments on your favorite episodes. I've started to add, and I've just added another one yesterday, the top hits from previous episodes, so you can listen to some of the best stories over and over again. I actually just added Andrew DeMaro's story about when he was getting ready to go out on a mission, and a Marine staff sergeant picked up what he thought was an American 152 radio, or excuse me, a Georgian military 152 radio, and it was actually an IED that went off in the vehicle, and he was there for the response for that. So that story is now up on the YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out. And then finally, make sure to check out my website, jkramergraphics.com, and my Instagram page at jkramergraphics. I never throw it out there, but I will this time. I also have another Instagram page called at jkramermedia, and that's where I do photography work and stuff, and I post stuff up there. I haven't shot some photos in a little bit, so the stuff's from this last summer when I did my cross-country road trip. I think is my most recent work. Or actually, I did one of my buddy's cars is on there, so check that out, J Kramer Media. And yeah, and my website, as always, jkramergraphics.com. Like I said before, if you need unit stuff, if your unit is not on there, just send me the logo or send me the information, and I can get you t-shirts, hoodies. Freaking flags are super popular right now, flags, and then the laser etched tumblers are great for unit gifts, or going away gifts. So make sure to check that out, jkramergraphics.com. And that's it. Enjoy the show, everybody. So no, I am not sheltering in place. I mean, me and my kid are here. We're just hanging out, and we're doing like what you would do if you had VGE on ship, the Double Dragon. I'm like, hey man, all right, it's time, and we'll just go and wipe every handle down, once a day, which whatever, it's probably not going to do anything, but it can't be bad,
Yeah, can't hurt.
So yeah, we're doing that, and other than that, it's just me and him just hanging out here, so I'm not really too concerned. We get out. I actually would be out more, but the weather here in San Diego has been just shit. It's just been raining. So yeah, we've been chilling at home. The few little bit of breaks in the rain we've had, we've taken my dog to the park and stuff. Just get out and do stuff. I don't know. I'm not too worried. I mean, obviously this thing is going on and it's real, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not out there trying to. I already don't interact with that many people anyway, especially since school's out.
Yeah.
Since school's out, like I work from home, I run my website, I do the podcast, stuff like that. So, my interactions with other human beings have gone way down. So this is the way it'll be for a little while.
I'm in my dad's basement right now.
Back in the parents' basement, broadcasting live.
My brother has he runs a construction company, so I didn't have anything going on, and spring break was extended, so packed up the animals and just drove up 2 hours, visit with family, and work with my brother. Are
you guys on full online classes when you come back?
Yep, till the end of the semester at least.
Yeah, that's what we are as well. And then the other day they had all the students, they were like, hey, you have 24 hours to move out of campus housing. Yeah, I don't know. There was one kid that came back, and I might have talked about it on the last podcast, I don't remember. But there was a kid that came back from Italy on studying abroad. And they're like, hey, you just came back from Italy. You need to go self-quarantine for 14 days. So he self-quarantined. I guess after like 3 days, he's like, I feel fine. Went to like a music festival out here. Went on campus to talk to 2 people he needed to talk to. So he went into like 2 buildings. And that's when they were like, everyone, like, online classes now. Because they were going to start at spring break, but.
Right. Were you guys not already on spring break when it kicked off?
No, spring break starts at the end of the month for us.
Okay. See, our spring break, we were on spring break. Ohio State was on spring break, and then they said
Ohio State.
The Ohio State. They said they're going to transition to online classes for the rest of the semester, and then like 3 days later, the president Drake, the president of Ohio State University, came out and said, "You know what? We're going to extend spring break by a week, and we need you." Or no, yeah, they were just going to do online classes until the end of the month, and then a week ago they decided to extend spring break for a week. Everybody has to move out of on-campus housing, and then online classes for the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
And they've delayed commencement. At least they're going to delay commencement. They might, cancel it, which I got a lot of friends who are pretty upset about that.
You're graduating this year, right?
Nope.
You have one more year left?
One more year, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think. I need to go sit down with my advisor to make sure everything's like lining up right.
Yeah.
Because I have GI Bill benefits on the back end. I'll have some left over because I was smart enough. I'm glad I did. The last 2 years I was in, I just started crushing classes, and I knocked out like 30 credits while I was still in.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can apply that to a master's program after I graduate. So
if you have even 1 day of benefit available to you, and then you can have a whole semester. You just have to have 1 day of benefit. So
really? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So if you have 1 day of benefit left, like you'd gotten your entire undergraduate degree and finished, and at the end of the spring semester, the date that your benefit ended, if you had 1 day left of your whatever it is, 36 months of eligibility, then you can get a whole nother semester.
Huh. I didn't know that. I had a guy on, so on episode 34, I had Jose Esparza on. He's a Navy vet, or he's actually still in. He's a reservist, but he's the certifying official at SDSU as well.
Yeah.
So he came onto the podcast and talked about a bunch of good stuff. I didn't hear him. I don't remember him saying that, though. I feel like that's a pretty important. I'm going to ask him about that. I want to have him back on because there's a lot of people were freaking out about if they were going to lose the GI Bill once everyone went to online classes.
Which apparently is not the case now, right? It's at least Ohio State, you're full up. Or the letter I got from the VA said you'll get, even if you're fully online for this till January 2021, you'll still get your full BAH. It won't be reduced to the national average.
Yeah. Well, initially they said it was like, hey, this is going to apply to schools that have only certified that have certified online programs. The schools like SDSU and Ohio State have like, hey, I could take this one class online, but majority of it's obviously in person. So since they're certified for that, that's why they were saying, hey, we can keep our full BAH. But I think Congress actually just acted within like 24 hours and signed a piece of legislation saying that no one's BAH can be reduced. So
yeah, saw that.
So that's cool. They did something. It's cool. This is lighting a fire under Congress, for some shit.
I've been fairly impressed. I watched the daily briefings from the president and his immediate and his cat team.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been answering questions pretty honestly, pretty fairly. It seemed like they have a good handle on the situation. Obviously, I feel like we underestimated it. Maybe there was a little bit of lag on our action on the front end, but
I mean, was there though? Because what exactly would you expect someone to do?
The ability to test and the ability to get results from the test quickly, because now they have this backlog of tests that they haven't done. That I guess the new system they've implemented is much more efficient. But
well, did you see that part of the reason for the testing issues is that the bulk amount, like a major amount of test kits that the CDC had, ended up being they found out they were bad. They were giving false positives and stuff like that. So they had like 1 million test kits that they had to toss because like whatever they call them, that active reagents or some shit. I'm not, I'm a liberal arts major.
So I'm a major, so I don't know. I just trust what I hear mostly.
They had a shit ton of kits, but they were all bad is part of the reason why. But now they're saying that it's like they have a kit now that can tell you, I think within hours or instantly. That's what they were saying at the briefing today. That can instead of having to take like 3 days or whatever.
Yeah. I know they got the new testing in place, so that's good. Yeah. I don't know. I'm fairly oblivious to it. Like, I mean, I'm cognizant of like social distancing. I try not to shake hands with people or like be in close contact, especially like with elderly populations. But I'm up here doing roofing and construction with my brother, so I mean, we're out and about daily, getting dirty and living our lives as normal.
I don't know. Can you contract it through just like breathing in the air?
I've heard 6 foot is the range you want to have.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying. Yeah, I feel like maybe in an enclosed room, but you're outside, dude. Fucking
exactly.
roofing too. What the hell are you roofing is it wintertime still in Ohio?
It's really nice today. It was like 50s, 60s a day. Sun was shining. We did 4 square. We just did a little patch today. It wasn't.
You are too old to be roofing. What are you doing?
My brother's 4 years older than me, and he runs the business, and he's there every day doing that shit. He's a beast.
Man, my back would be so fucked up.
Oh yeah, every day. Every day I'm done with the job. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it.
When I was younger, man, when I was like 20, I think I worked a summer doing. You call it being a carpenter, but I was doing. We were building houses, but I was out there just learning shit. But dude, climbing up on the roof sometime and up there just fucking putting down plywood sheeting and like just building a house, like that shit is rough work, dude.
Yeah.
After a while.
Like when you're up on a roof that like a house that's already built, when you're doing a tear off and shooting in putting shingles and everything down. There's 2 kinds of roof. There's a walker, meaning that you can walk on top of it, not fall off, and then the kind that's steep enough that you have to like actually drive in 2x4s and use that as a point of contact to tear off. So I don't know. It's scary stuff, but I mean it's not bad.
Well, you're
scary,
used to
scary is a relative term.
Well, you do rock climbing, so you're used to like heights and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm not a fan of heights. I'm like I can deal with it, but I'm like, why put myself in that situation?
Aren't you? Were you airborne? Did First ANGLICO send you to?
No, dude, no. They actually offered it to me. That when I first got there, my team leader was like, "Hey, man, we're sending 3 more guys. We didn't know when you were going to get here, but you can take one of the seats if you want." And he's like, "You're obviously the next primary dude as being the team chief in JTAC that would need it." And I'm like, "Dude, 1, we're never gonna fucking actually jump, and 2,
it's a fun school,
and 2, because ANGLICO doesn't have a jump mission, you don't get paid extra for it.
You don't get paid extra, and you can't get your gold jump wings. It's hard to get jumps. You got to jump with 3rd ANGLICO and shit. Yeah, it's a pain."
Yeah, well, a lot of our guys were jumping. We were jumping with ANGLICO, the 3rd ANGLICO, and they were jumping with 1st Recon. And then when we attached to the MU, they were going out with the guys that were doing like air delivery dudes,
So that's legit. That's a usable skill, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
First ANGLICO sent me to jump school, and it was like I went to jump school, and then we did some jumps afterwards, like the transition jumps, and
it was more common. It was more common back then. You know, now it's all like a hookup. Like, hey, we got these open seats, and we got some guys that can go, so let's send them. It's all about the individual team. Or half my team was jump qualled.
Yeah,
but I had honestly no desire. People are all about it. I'm like, dude, fuck that, man. Like, I get it, whatever, man. You're all about jumping out of planes and stuff. Like, I have my buddy Chris Harper. He was with Recon, or he was with Recon. He's in the MESEP program right now, so he's down at Clemson, I think, is where he's going to school. And he skydives all the time recreationally. He has his own parachute and stuff. And he's like, yeah, if you have your own chute, it's like $25. You just pay $25 for the lift ticket to go up. And he's like, you should come. And I'm like, oh, fuck that, dude. Like, why? Like, I'm sure it's super cool. Maybe one day I'll do it, but I am, I don't know. I've done some wild stuff, but skydiving just doesn't appeal to me.
We had to give up our weekends because we'd have to, if you're jumping with 3rd ANGLICO, they're jumping on the weekend. So we'd have to give up our weekends to go up there and like hook up with them and then go do the jump. So the last jump that we did, it was right after the last jump that I did was right after some of the brush fires in California. We were jumping into DZ Basilone right there by Polgus. And I was the first guy out of the plane. It was the first time I'd ever been the first guy out of the plane. And I fall a little bit faster than other people just because I'm 220 pounds,
Yeah.
So I came down and I knew I was going to miss. Like I was looking at the smoke off in the distance. Like there's no way I was going to make it there. So I'm like trying to slip. I thought I was going to land on Basilone Road.
Oh,
but I didn't. I landed in a burnout patch that might as well have been hard as asphalt. And as I get up, I'm freaking gathering up my chute and whatnot. And then I look directly to my right and there was like a 5-foot engineering stake sticking out of the ground. And I'm like, damn, if I had landed on that, I'd just been impaled. Dead.
Dude, Harper was telling me about a time he was jumping with Recon out of 2nd Recon and they jumped in and same thing, but he saw it. He saw the stake and he's like, oh, like trying to, and he was like, dude, they don't turn. You hit it and it's like it barely even moves. And he's like trying to.
You're like pulling like 3 risers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And he said he almost hit 1 too. Dude, that is sketchy as fuck. See, fuck that, man. Like, and I wasn't going to get paid to do it. Were you getting paid?
Fuck no, I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah. You just talk to so many guys that get hurt and stuff doing that. You know, they come out with bad knees and bad back. My back's already messed up, but why fuck up my knees too?
Exactly, right?
I don't know. Some guys are super into it. When were you first ANGLICO again?
That was the beginning of the first 6 years of my career were with ANGLICO. So I went from 5th ANGLICO to 1st ANGLICO.
Yeah.
So that's like I was pissing fire and deploying and
Yeah.
do all the most high speed, low drag shit. And by the time I got to Lejeune, I was like, fuck the Marine Corps.
Honestly, if they'd have been like, hey, we're gonna send you to free fall school, like I would have done that because I'm like, that's practical. You know, you get something out of it. You walk away with a license, a skydiving license. Yeah. You know, but static line, what? No, I'm gonna get beat up in the sky. And everybody I talk to that goes to jump school are like, dude, it's like they've been teaching the same curriculum since like 1945. Like it's the same thing.
I mean, you got so many students. I think our class, our company or whatever the hell they call them, it was like 500 people. So it was a massive amount. And most of them are, pipeline Army guys. So they're privates and, PFCs. And then you got the Marines that are like, of all kinds of varying rank and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But it was all right.
Yeah. When'd you go to jump school?
2009, I think.
Yeah. Everybody I talked to was like, dude, it sucks. They're like, it's the dumbest school I've ever been to.
Yeah, it was a terrible school.
They're like, I don't know why, because some guys use it as a re-enlistment incentive. They're like, I don't know why anybody would ever use that school as a re-enlistment incentive.
It sounds cool when you're sitting in the office trying to get someone to sign up for another 4 years. Be like, I will send you to jump out of airplane. And you're like, that sounds like I'm recon now. I'm gonna go do that, but it's not. The school is not. It's not like that.
It's built for privates coming out of the fucking Army.
It's airborne boot camp is what it is.
Man, yeah, I don't know. How's school going though, man? How's your classes?
Good. I mean, so this is the 8th semester straight for me at OSU.
Are you doing summer school and everything?
I have been. So this will be the first summer that I won't be enrolled because I'm going to do my internship in Dallas, Texas with Ernst Young. It's a public accounting firm. They're the third biggest in the world, I believe.
Wow.
There's like the big four are EY, Deloitte, PwC, and KPMG. So I'm going to be working in EY's. It's called Risk Advisory Program. It's consulting work.
Oh, okay.
Accounting consult. I don't really know even what I'm getting into. I'm just going to go fake it till I get it.
There you go. Hopefully they're not watching.
Yeah. No, it's what drew me to EY is it's a really good culture. They're very laid back. You would think you think public accounting and accountants that, they'd probably be a little bit uptight and high strung, but they're like in their office in Dallas, there's like, we don't have a real dress code. We don't show up in flip flops and a t-shirt, but you don't have to be suit and tie every day. If you're going out with clients and they wear suit and tie every day, then obviously that's what you wear. But
yeah,
they place
situation dictates.
Yeah, situation dictates. They place a high priority on like individual motivation, ability to sell. If somebody is relatable and charismatic. So I guess I don't know how I got through that interview, but it was a pretty robust. I mean, I started in September August was the first time I went and talked to the EY recruiter and submitted my, application for the internship. Mm-hmm. And it was a 4-part, it was a application. Then you go and you meet with the recruiter for the campus recruiter for EY. And then you go and do this virtual interview where you just like now, like on Skype, you answer questions that are pre-recorded. And then they invite you out for an office visit. And it's a 3-part interview at the office visit. And then they offered me the internship. And that's just for an internship, not even for a job. But once you score the internship, as long as you don't mess it up, you probably will get offered a position. But
is that paid for? Is the trip out there paid for by them?
Yeah, they paid for me to go out to Dallas and do the office visit. Nice. And then the internship is a paid internship as well. I mean, it's EY. It's a large company, so yeah, they take care of their interns. And then the last week of the it's an 8-week internship. The last week is in Orlando, Florida, and they do like an intern conference where they bring all the interns for EY for all the offices across the states, mm-hmm. and they just do a big big conference and like what to expect from EY. It's a recruiting tactic for them. They get people excited about the firm.
Do you think like what's going on and how it's messing with the economy is going to affect like what you're doing in the future?
For sure, been worried about, especially especially, so there's three areas of public accounting. There's tax, there's audit. Both those things are required by the federal government. The area I'm going into is consulting. So it's a service that isn't dictated by the government. So you have to sell it. And I'm worried with the contraction in the market that, it creates their revenue stream is going to be decreased. So, but
what do you mean what are you going to be consulting? Like, what's the consultant gig? Like, what is it?
So the specific area of consulting I'm doing is called risk advisory. So it's the risk advisory program with EY, and what they do is they just advise businesses on where maybe if their IT structure isn't great, and maybe there's a way that they can streamline it or make it better and reduce their expenses, then they kind of go in and just do a full overhaul of the system. They also provide a managed service that they sell to companies. So if you don't want to do all of the invoicing or tracking of your day-to-day operations, then they can do that kind of thing for you. And I'm a little bit talking out of my ass because I haven't even started the internship yet. So I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I had that attitude going through the process for the interview too. Like, hey, I know that I don't know what I don't know. I know I'm a little bit older than your traditional undergraduates coming in. But I'm not coming in here with a big head thinking I can, I know everything.
It's weird. I think being around young students, like these 18 to 22-year-olds basically all day, it really puts into perspective, like, what I know just based on life experience over what they know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Stuff that I take for granted that I'm like, well, you don't know that? Like, yeah. It's just stuff that we've done in the military that you've been exposed to and stuff like that, or just over lifetime, it's like, it's crazy.
I tell because I'm the treasurer of our undergraduate student veteran organization, and so I'm always talking to student veterans, and I'm like, soft skills is what you have from the military, your leadership and your ability to accomplish tasks and whatnot. The hard skills that you're going to act, despite whatever it is, career field you're going into, hard skills are acquired over time, and you're going in just like any other 18, to 22-year-old who's joining the workforce. You don't know anything. Just come at it like that. You don't know it. But once you get into a manager position, that's when those soft skills that you gleaned from the military are really going to come into full force and help you to be a better manager, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're into that, you're heading into corporate America, bro. If somebody wants to do that, if somebody wants to do what you're doing, what do you think is like the best pathway from the military? Let's say 2 years out from the military, what should they be doing?
Exactly what you and I did. Do online coursework as much as you can, or if you have like an extension campus that you can go to and get, that's one thing about the Marine Corps. You really have to like be self-driven to get that done, because there's no incentive for you in the promotion process. No. I mean, there's some, you can write in your, I completed 13 credit hours, but the board is not going to look at that. They don't care.
I mean, our MOS was it's not very competitive because there's so many guys would get out, the burn rate. They're just out of here after they do a couple deployments. They're like, fuck this, I'm gone all the time. I'm getting out. So, yeah, it's easier for us. But for some guys, maybe it is good. So 2 years out, start school. I think as soon as you maybe not the first year that you're in, but you hit the fleet, you've been there for 6 months and you don't have a deployment that you're prepping for on the horizon, you should start getting into whatever ability you have to take courses, because I think you have to wait a year to start using your. Is it? Yeah, I think you have to wait a year to use your tuition assistance, which it makes sense. You're learning your job, you're learning that. So, however, I wish more people would take like writing courses because motherfuckers cannot spell. They cannot write. Their grammar, spelling, and punctuation is just atrocious.
Out the door. Not a high price placed on that.
Nah, man. And I wish it was because it's super important, especially when you get out. Like, imagine if you sent in one of your resumes with like multiple misspellings or like, grammar, fucked up grammar. Like, it's not going to happen. You can't send professional emails with like, I don't know. Some guys just don't care, man.
I think I went through like probably 4 people. There was a class at OSU, a 1 credit hour like survey course that talked about building your resume and whatnot. And then I went to 2 or 3 resume building workshops before I even started submitting resumes to any kind of companies that I wanted to work for. But
What major points did you pull out of those? Because to me, it feels like they all tell you something different. Some will be like, hey, it needs to be 2 pages and this, and no, only 1 page forever. And no, you got to put this down.
I mean, I think it's driven a lot by the industry that you're trying to get into.
True.
For me, I mean, the top 4 accounting firms, they receive, I don't even know how many applications or how many resumes and CVs they receive, but 1 page is a hard and fast rule. For us, it was, you want to balance. That was the structure for me or the challenge for me, because a lot of undergraduate students, the work experience is really slim, so they have to try to buff it up, But for me, I had so much, and it was so military driven, so I had to craft that into civilian terms, and then I had to shrink it down. So they said perfect thirds. You want your education to be a third, you want your work experience to be a third, you want your volunteer service to be a third, or your community service, whatever you want to call it, something that's not paying you money and that's not, not tied to your education.
You think that's held in high regard?
I don't know. I got a job, but I mean, that's what I got from it. Like, they want to see that you're like, you care about your community, or that you're doing something, or something, or even something that you're interested in, that you pursue. Like, I'm in Mountaineers at Ohio State. It's an undergraduate organization that does climbing and hiking and backpacking and that kind of stuff, and I'm active in the group, so that's on my CV.
Yeah, you guys are always doing stuff. Well, you were before.
I mean, I think I've done 2 actual trips with the Mountaineers group from OSU, and then now I just did one for spring break with our undergraduate student veteran organization. So we had 5 people that went out and went climbing, and I led the trip. But it's a little, sometimes if you're going like on a trip for an extended period of time with traditional undergraduate students, especially mountain climbers, and people, dirt bags as they call themselves, are a pretty particular type of people in the first place. So it's hard not to feel like you're so much older than everybody else. So I liked it.
Oh yeah. You liked it? You like being the old dude?
I don't like being the old guy, but that's why I'm more into doing trips with, veterans and people that are not necessarily my age, but at least a little bit closer to my age.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I don't mind being around young people. God, I sound like a fucking old ass even talking like that. Youngins these days. I don't mind being around like the 18 to 22-year-olds, because I feel like it just keeps you young. It keeps you. You're talking to them about stuff. Feel like you're learning about stuff. You like, my peer group is not going to talk about new apps and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. Like, and I think that's important, is to constantly be looking forward to what's next and like prepping yourself for it. Because I don't want to be that 80-year-old dude that you see the guys that can barely use a phone. They don't understand it, and it's like, I don't want to be that dude. So I'm trying to like stay on top of technologies and stuff, and being around young people is a key way to do that.
Yeah.
I think that was a good thing about the military.
I mean, I feel like you have to, in this day and age, like if you're not growing in the technology area, you're dying, because it's every day it's something new. It's
getting weird, man. And it's, using my kid's VR headset, his Oculus, I'm like, I was telling him, I was like, he has this thing called VR chat, right? Where you can walk into rooms and sit there and talk to people and stuff like that. Like, they're all over the world. Yeah, you walk in and you have an avatar, they have an avatar, and you just walk up to them and you're like, what's up? I walk in like some fucking noob idiot. I walked like through a group on accident and stuff, and they're like, excuse me. Like, you hear them saying stuff. But I look at like the rooms and how the rooms are and how it's like super basic. It reminds me of the beginning of chat rooms, like on Yahoo, like when you had the messenger rooms and stuff like that, or discussion boards, is whatever they called them.
Right.
Because in high school, we didn't get a computer. I don't remember if my mom or my brother bought it, but we had this thing that hooked into the cable or to the phone line, and then you hooked it into a TV and you had internet. That's all it was. It wasn't like a normal computer where you could save shit, but you could browse the internet. And I remember going on like Yahoo, like messenger boards, and like playing Yahoo Pool and like all this stuff. Like, Yahoo was my place. I had GeoCities. I don't know if you remember GeoCities, but like that time frame, that GeoCities like time frame, is what this is right now. And it's weird, man. I wonder what it's going to be like in 20 years. This VR stuff, because it's crazy.
Because 20, yeah, and it's growing exponentially too. Like it just gets more and more advanced. Like it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah. Have you tried a headset out? Have you seen any of them?
I have the PlayStation VR.
How's that?
It's pretty sweet. I mean, my brother got it before I did, and I played it on his system once, and I was like immediately hooked. I was like, I went out and bought like the whole headset and everything. And I was like hardened the paint on it for like a month, and then now it sits up in my, it sits next to my TV. It never really gets used at all.
Oh, really? Was it just straight gaming, or?
I used it for gaming. That's all I did on it. Like
PlayStation makes VR specific games.
Yeah, there's it's like a robot game. You can like look so if you wear the headset with it, it's like full sensory deprivation, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'll wear these headphones with his and play sometimes, and you'll move and you'll like kind of almost like you're gonna fall over because you think you're actually moving. Your body's like, whoa! It's I don't know, man. It's super weird. I was playing. He just got this new game where you fly around. You're in a spaceship, and you look down, and one hand's on the gas, and one hand is like on another stick. And when you move forward, like you give it more gas, you can watch it move forward. But you're flying around, looking and locking onto other spaceships and shooting at them with missiles and shit. Dude, it's wild. It's wild. I was like, dude, I gotta sit down for this. Like, I feel like I'm gonna fall over because I'm like all over the place.
The first time I did it, I had like lightweight vertigo.
Yeah.
Whoa, what's happening?
I took an edible one time and did it, and I was like, this is too much. I got to take this thing off.
I can't do this. It's too much.
Yeah, I started getting that like seasickness feeling. I'm like, oh, because it's just so weird. It's like if did you ever do that driving simulator that some of the bases have where you're surrounded by TV screens and you're in like a Humvee?
No.
And you're moving, but the Humvee's not actually moving, so everything's like moving, so it makes you feel sick. Like, because you're not moving, but everything else is. Yeah, some people get sick from that.
I think
it's
I
like
did
a convoy trainer. I
did the no, I just did the rollover trainer on Lejeune. That's all that was.
No, this is something completely different. This is like a convoy trainer where you got a dude that's like he's a gunner. He can be up in the 50 cal and just standing there, and you're in front of this massive like big screen, almost like being in an SAVT kind of,
yeah,
but with a Humvee. And you can like attack shit, and you're in a convoy. Like there's like multiple people and multiple vehicles have them, so you're all like cruising in a convoy.
Was this in Pendleton when you did this, or was it in Lejeune?
Pendleton had it. I know. I want to say when I went to MOS school when I was a mechanic, 3521.
Well, that's right. You're not a pureblood.
Motor what? Motor I was at Camp Johnson, 2006. Let me tell you, they had a convoy trainer. Because you have to get a driver's license, or you have to get a license. You get it. It's a shitty license too. It's a shop use only, meaning you can only drive it like around the lot and stuff.
You can't even like drive it out on the road on the base.
Dude, that's the shitty part about being a mechanic in the Marine Corps. You're sitting there, you're fixing everything else that everybody else fucked up. You don't ever actually get to go and fuck it up yourself.
You break it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least being a mechanic with MLG. I imagine it's different for guys that are with like the battalions and stuff like that because they go to the field and shit.
Well, dude, the Mex at Anglico had it great.
The what?
The Mex at Anglico that worked at Anglico.
No way, dude. Those dudes are always working.
That's true. They are always working, but I feel like they got treated well.
I talked to him a couple times. I talked to one kid before he lap moved to be a 6'1", because I had done it, so we talked a little bit. I tried to take out support guys anytime I could to go shoot and stuff like that, which you're not getting at, maintenance battalion. That's not going to happen, or even 10th Marines.
Yeah, we would like the headquarters battery. We would always take guys from headquarters battery. Like if you were willing to hump out to Polgus to the range and go shoot, then you'd come with us. We always, well, there was never a lack of ammo when I was at first. It was like,
no. We were just talking about that. I've talked about it multiple times, but people don't. It's a shitty feeling when you get out and you actually have to pay for ammo. There's no way I could afford to shoot like we shot while I was at First Anglico.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we would schedule ranges constantly.
Get tired of shooting. You're like so much ammo left over at the end. You're just like doing trigger reset drills.
I have definitely seen guys that are like, dude, fuck this. I'm done. I don't want to shoot anymore. I had some S1 kids come out to a range with us one time, and they're like, I'm done. Like I was like, hey, we got a couple cans of 240 ammo left over here if you guys want to shoot. 240, a machine gun, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, hey guys, hey, it's the S1 dudes that came out. I'm like, hey, you guys want to come shoot? You know, these last 2 cans or 3 cans. Look, oh, I'm not really feeling it, Staff Sergeant. I'm like, well, you can either do that or fucking start police calling. They're like, we'll police call. And I'm like, get the hell out of here.
That's crazy.
Blew my mind, dude. They did not want to shoot.
I mean, there's been times when I've, put so many rounds down range that I'm just like, fuck shooting anymore. I'm tired. I haven't fired a round since I've been out of the Marine Corps.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Nah, I go shoot every once in a while. I don't shoot enough. Like, I want to shoot more, but...
I don't have a gun, so...
Dude, oh really? I got a gun on the wall. I got a stack of guns in there. I don't have any tactical guns, though. All mine are, like, old-school shotguns. Like, I have... On the wall, I have... I almost said Mossberg. It's not a Mossberg. That's a...
Be a lot cool if it was.
Well, yeah. I have a Stoughton. That's what it... No, it's not Stoughton. What is it? Oh, Stoger. Stoger coach gun. I have a Stoger coach gun up on the wall that my advisor team, at the end, we did a group order. They engraved the... our logo for our advisor team was... or our call sign was Guinness. So nice. we made a logo that was the EGA that put into the Guinness logo, and then on the by the breech it says Operation Enduring Freedom like engraved into it. So we did that. I got that, and I have actually another Stoger shotgun.
What did you guys end up paying a piece to get it?
Oh, dude, I don't remember. They weren't that bad though. It's a good deal. Like if you do it, I'll tell you, man, it's a pain in the ass because I've got that one and I set it up. I was like, hey guys, we should do this. Everyone's like, hey, we should do this, but someone actually has to be like,
it's a good idea until you actually have to do it.
So I'm like, all right, I've done this before. I'll do it. And the only reason I did it was because it was a small team. But even that, like, you're like, hey, I want to get this. I think we should do this. And everyone's like, we should do this. No, we should do this. Like, we should add this option.
You could have done it.
And I'm like, look, man, yeah, so I did, what we ended up doing was Stoger coach gun option and the Stoger Uplander. And they're both double barrel shotguns. They're both side by side, double barrel, like classic, old school shotguns. And then I also, before when I was with 3.6 in 2011, we did SIG 226. You could either do a 226 combat, 226P combat, or, God, what was the other one? The other one was a cheaper one, but it was like a convertible. Like you could switch it from 9mm to 45 or something like that. I believe. I don't remember. But dude, I was like, we should do a pistol. And no one wanted to do it. And I was like, I'll fucking do it because I think this is a super cool idea. And I had never done that before. And I did it for the entire battalion. Oh my God, dude. One, people wanted to do other stuff. One company ended up doing their own pistol as well. 2, I contacted SIG and I was like, hey, here's the logos, here's the designs. I sent everything to them. Everything's good to go. I sent out order forms to everybody, like, hey, save your emails for receipts, like all this stuff. I think we bought like $60,000 worth of pistols. And this is the SIG 226 Combat is, I think on their website, it's like $1,200 or something ridiculous. For me, it was like after tax, after all the fees. I was in North Carolina at the time too, so you got to pay the fee there. I think it was like $860. So it came with a really good discount.
Yeah.
The other pistol though, it also great discount. Everything was good. Problem was the guy sent me an image and was like, "Hey man, is this okay?" And he had the wording all fucked up. Like they had changed the wording around. It was like Teufelhunden, Operation Freedom, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, dude, that won't work. And he's like, well, we've already started making the slides for the pistols. And I'm like, well,
you should stop.
Sucks to suck, man. Well, because of that, he had to turn around and make like 500, he had to like throw like 500 slides away and start over again. And that obviously delayed it. And people start hitting me up. They're like, hey, where's the pistol at? I'm PCSing. I'm EASing. How am I doing this? And so I got all these people hitting me up. Hey, pistols are here. I'm sending out emails like, go get your pistols. Dudes are like, they said I don't have one. I'm not on the list. I'm like, where's your receipt? I didn't keep it. Like, hey man, like, dude, total drama. It was a pain in the ass. And the only reason I did it for my advisor team also was because it was only like, there was less than 20 of us. So.
Right. Yeah. That's a little bit more manageable.
You guys didn't do anything like that for your deployments? I know a lot of you guys do pistols.
The 24th Mu did. They did a 9/11.
Everybody does the 1911.
Yeah. 1911.
Which one?
But it was like, I think, I mean, I've never bought a firearm in my entire life.
What?
So I don't know. I didn't know what to expect as far as cost, but I think it was the same thing. I think it was around like $800 or something. Maybe it was even a little cheaper than that, I think.
A lot of units do the Kimber. That's like a pretty popular one.
Yeah.
You've never owned a gun? No.
Never.
Does your family, no one in your family owns guns?
I mean, I think my dad had a 22 when I was growing up.
Man, that's weird in the Midwest.
Yeah.
At least somebody. I didn't. My mom and dad didn't own any, and then when I got into like right before high school, my uncle gave me a shotgun because I would go out with him shooting. I'd go hunting with them. So that was my first gun. I have that. That's another one of the guns I have. It's a single shot 12 gauge. So all my guns are like shotguns and like nothing tactical. I got a 22 rifle. What do I have? I don't know. Maybe some fell in the lake. I don't remember.
No need to disclose.
Those boating accidents. Nothing tactical though.
Yeah.
I shot my fucking M4 and back when I first came in the M16 so much. It's like my brother-in-law has one and he's like, you should get one, man. I'm like, dude,
they're expensive as fuck.
Mine's in the armory, like for a long time that's what it was. Like I don't need one, dude. I shoot it all the time. Yeah. But now I'm kind of like, it'd be kind of cool to have, but it's just expensive to one, get it to where you want it to be. Probably, that's another expensive hobby to get into shooting. Yeah. So that's expensive. And two, ammo. And I live in California. So now in California, every time you go buy ammo, you have to get a background check.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And the first time you do it, if you've never bought or you've never registered a weapon in California, it's like $19 you have to pay, and it can take up to 30 days for the background check to come back to get ammo.
Right, that's crazy.
Dude, it's almost worth driving to Yuma to get ammo and come back.
You got a plan to go shooting like 2 months in advance.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I keep ammo, so luckily I'm okay. Like canned food. How are you guys doing on food out there? Is the grocery stores crazy?
I was in the grocery store yesterday, and it was like all kinds of fresh produce, all kinds of fruits and vegetables. It was a little low on meat. I think people have been, buying up the meat as it comes available. Paper products as always. I think that's similar across the country. I don't either. But it's crazy.
I'm almost out of paper towels, but I'm like, if I run out and they don't have any at the store, I'll just use a rag.
I'll be all right, yeah.
I'm not going to fight anybody. I have towels. I have like regular cloth towels. There's this thing called cloth,
Yeah, exactly. If I run out of toilet paper, I can still use a cloth towel.
Yeah, we're eating steaks over here right now because they didn't have any ground beef at the store. Really? But whatever.
That's not a terrible situation to be in.
There's worse, first world problems, right?
Yeah, it is a first world problem for sure. It's a first world crises for sure.
Imagine being in this crisis and being in like Honduras, or Haiti, or name a shitty country. I don't know. I've never been to either one of those countries, so I don't want to say they're shitty, but I've heard Haiti's not very nice.
Yeah, I feel like we can safely assume Haiti's, not of the most enjoyable countries to visit.
Did you ever go there?
I've never been to Haiti, no.
No. Yeah.
But I have which is strange because Dominican Republic, there's like all kinds of resorts and whatnot where people go to visit there, and it's the same fucking island.
I never got that when the earthquake happened. Like, how far apart are these areas? Because it did not affect the Dominican Republic. Because remember, the earthquake happened, they had to send the MEU out there to help them out.
Yeah, but you never hear about Dominican Republic, but it's the same fucking island.
Is the Dominican Republic a U.S. territory?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Dude, I feel like I should know this. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
I feel like I should too.
Yeah, I never went to the Dominican Republic. I went to.
I think it is a U.S. territory.
You think it is?
Haiti is not, right? So I don't think Dominican Republic is.
No, it's a country in the Caribbean, so it's its own country. I wasn't sure. We have all those weird little territories, so it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. I mean,
have you ever been to the Bahamas?
I've never been to the Bahamas. No.
No.
I've never been down into that area.
I did a cruise one time. I had to fly to Puerto Rico. It came out of Puerto Rico for whatever reason. Luckily, it was when I was out on the East Coast still, so it wasn't too much. But I did like a 6 or 7 day cruise one time and hit like St. Lucia. I went to that beach where the planes take off like right across the street from the beach. Like we remember walking down to the beach like, oh, look at this big open area. There's nobody here. Let's set up our stuff. Because there's no like air traffic or anything at that time. And I thought it was down just a little bit farther. And then a plane came out and taxied out and it turned and I wasn't looking, but I got that smell like you get when you're on the flight line, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, everyone starts like doing stupid shit. I'm like, just dude, take a knee and put your back to it. And it turned the thrusters on. I'm just like, all the sand's kicking up. Like I was
just sand blasted.
I was like, yeah, let's move down. Some guy that was there, some other guy that was out there lost his passport in the ocean. Like all this stuff was just getting thrown into the ocean.
Jeez, why would you even bring your passport to the beach?
I was like, why'd we come to this fucking beach, man? Like, because one of the people that we were with were like, we should go to this beach. It's famous because of this. And I remember going down there like, oh, cool. It's just, I'll tell you what, though. When that didn't happen, or after that was done, I went and swam out probably 100 yards off the coast, maybe 200 yards, and it's just so clear. Like, you could see like 20 feet down, man. You can see all the fish swimming around and shit. I've never seen water that clear before.
That's how it was on Okie.
Yeah.
Crystal clear blue down to the reef.
Yeah. I mean, it's known for diving. Did you do diving out there?
No, I snorkeled. I was stationed there for 2 years, so I should have. It's one of my great Marine Corps not getting scuba certified when I was in Okie.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that do. There's all these little regrets. You're like, damn, I really should have taken advantage of that situation. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I was in Singapore, but I stayed blacked out the whole time. Damn it.
The whole time. Why did I do this to myself again?
I could have went to some tours or some shit.
Yeah.
No. Did you ever go to Hong Kong or have you been to China or anything?
Never. I've never been to China. I've been studying it for free. I was supposed to go this summer. So EY is a global student exchange, and they always do. Every summer they do exchanges on the eastern seaboard of China with one of their offices because EY is a global company. So they have EY China. So they'll send Chinese interns over to our office, and then we would go there. But yeah, no, this year they didn't. Like even they canceled. Actually, the entire global student exchange got canceled. So all of the countries, not just
ours too.
Yeah.
So, all of our study abroad programs are also canceled. Students are starting to be like, hey, where's my fucking money back? Where's my money back for parking, for these facility fees that we're not using anymore? Like, you tell me I'm paying this fee because of the opportunities I get because of this program. Students are starting to... I was on the SDSU Reddit page, and dude, that's where people are like, what the fuck, man? We're getting kicked out of housing within 24 hours. Like, they should pay us back. And
they should definitely pay people back for the housing.
I want money back for parking because it's $175 a semester to park at SDSU.
Yeah, see, I don't pay parking. But at OSU, for parking, you're fucked because OSU doesn't control the parking on OSU. It's Campus Park, which is a private company.
Oh, really?
So I guarantee you they are not going to give people money back.
You know what? I think it's probably a private company here too. It probably is. They also, I don't know. They hire They hire they have contracted parking attendants come out like it's an event. And it'll be like a regular day at school, and you'll see them out there like directing traffic. And I'm like, what are we wasting money on these people for? I mean, no offense, like that's good that you guys have a job, but you're literally telling me to turn at the stop sign. Like I got it. I know where the parking garage is, right there. I see it.
Exactly.
And they stand at the entrance of the parking garage. They don't do anything. They're not checking anything. I don't get it, but whatever. Yeah. That's why we pay so much to go to school. Well, we don't pay anything. That's why other people pay so much to go to school. Do you have any classes where you're like, dude, I'd be pissed if I was paying for this?
Yeah, a lot of the core, pretty much any core. Actually, no. I mean, all the classes that I took, all the general education credits that I had to clean up that weren't done with my associates that I got while I was in the Marine Corps, I always bitched about them, but I always enjoyed them too. Like I had to take Architecture 2300, which is pretty much just it's the baseline architecture course, and it was actually a pretty hard course.
Oh, really?
I'm not good at like diagramming and drawing. Like that's not my game. But I mean, I enjoyed the information I got from the course. I don't know if I'll ever use it in the future, other than like trivia. But
do you learn like AutoCAD and stuff like that, or is that something different?
No, this was just like a study of. Part of it was like historical architecture, and then part of it was like diagramming, and then part of it was writing papers about different architectural items in Columbus and around the area. So it was fun. It was informative. But
I had one of my classes. The professor, for the first 2 days of the class, she played a video that she had taken off of History Channel, and had like stolen from the History Channel because it was like on a VHS. Like you could tell it was a VHS recording. The class is the principles of advertising. And for the first 2 days, we watched this like 2004 probably is when this video came out, called The History of Advertising. And I'm like, dude, if I was paying for this, I'd be fucking pissed.
Furious.
Like, we're watching an old ass History Channel show. That's literally what you're teaching me. And we've had a couple classes where she's played a video like that. And I'm like, this is crazy. So going to online class for hers, like I said, I'm a liberal arts guy. I'm in the writing field. So being online is not hard for me. It's like, hey, you need to write a story about this. Like, okay. And then I just write it. Like
the hardest class for me for the online transition is Chinese. So but there's only 7 of us that are because everybody that's taking, I'm in 4102 now. So it's everybody that's in the course is in the major. Yeah. So there's not us.
Do you guys talk on Skype and stuff?
Now they have it's Carmen Zoom is what they're using. It's pretty much like a virtual meeting.
Yeah.
It's like Skype. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But we sit here and then I've already opened it up and like make sure it's like working on my computer and everything. So I think it'll be okay. It's not ideal, but I'm pretty happy with.
It sucks you don't get to go to China.
Dude. Yeah, I know. It sucks on a lot of levels.
What part was where were you going to be going to?
I was trying to go like Shanghai, like Hangzhou, Suzhou, like the Eastern Seaboard. Anywhere on the Eastern Seaboard, I would have been happy with. Just somewhere I could have got a little bit of exposure with Mandarin and build my language skill. But
do you think that's weird going to like a communist country like that as a former military person? Being in the military.
I was worried that it was like gonna be hard for me to get a visa.
Yeah.
But no, I mean all of the Chinese people that I've met, like native Chinese that I've met and spoken with, like, I mean, both of our countries are pretty equally socialist, I think. I mean,
no way. You think so?
The American government has in the monitoring on social media platforms and how they market to people, like it's much more business oriented. They under your personal information and they use it to sell things to you more in America than I think in China. They give you, it's a behavioral score. It's like,
well, the government doesn't do that. The government doesn't collect the data to sell stuff to you. Businesses do.
Right, but it's what difference does it make if it's the government or the business?
Well, I mean, in the U.S., the businesses are separate from the government on some fronts. Like Google is very against like being involved with the Department of Defense right now. There's something recently that just came out on that. You couldn't have that in China. That's the whole deal with, Huawei and 5G.
Huawei. It's a state-owned enterprises.
People out here are idiots, man. There's in Encinitas, California, just voted to not allow 5G towers in their city because they're afraid of the effects from the 5G network. I'm like, they don't cause cancer. They don't cause tumors. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I thought the main concern was the monitoring of the 5G network that with Huawei.
No. Out here, they're talking about for like Sprint putting up a 5G like cell tower. That's what they outlawed, not Huawei. This was specific not because of Chinese interference. They're more concerned about the health effects of 5G.
I didn't even know there was health effects of 5G.
Exactly. There's not. There was like some kind of like conspiracy theory going around that 5G caused tumors and like all this stuff, but I think that's been fully debunked.
Is rampant.
Yeah.
It's almost you have to just say it's humorous at this point, like how crazy people are. You just have to.
I read too many Facebook comments, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like people are the worst. You know what I'm saying? Like you see like how people talk to each other online, and I'm somebody that's been online, since GeoCities, like
I was in GeoCities chatting with them.
I just see how people talk. I'm just like, dude, you guys are fucked up, man. And obviously it's a skewed perspective of people that are come online and talk to each other, but because I read all the political articles, I read a lot of the like world news and stuff like that. I'm like you, I've been watching the daily briefings. I don't understand why people would rather go to a news source and watch it rather than watch the actual like event so that you can get the entire. Because the speeches, you're right, they've been very informative. Like I think
I'm not a Trump fan. Like I'm not I did vote for him in 2016, but that's only because I hated Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
It's very much a never Trumper. And I mean, but I'm pretty impressed with the way that the president and Governor DeWine here in Ohio have responded to coronavirus. I think they're doing a good job.
Even California, man, Governor Newsom, who is no fan of Trump's.
Yeah, for sure.
Was on the news talking like they've given us everything we've asked for. They've been faster than we expected. Like, he's been singing the praise of the federal government too. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you want to hear that's happening. So that's good. But
it's unfortunate.
I don't know.
There has to be some kind of like crazy, situation that causes the government to come together and support each other. But
okay, maybe we just won't be assholes to each other as much.
For a little bit.
Well, I mean, now they're trying to make out the whole Trump calling the virus the China virus fucking being racist, or the Chinese virus as being racist.
That was retaliatory to the Chinese official who was saying that it was first, gotten by an American military member, right?
It was introduced by the U.S. Army.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't fault him for trying to designate the point of origin. The individual, and I don't even know who it was, but it was a representative or a senator, but that was saying that referring to it as the Kung Flu virus, that's probably a little bit racist. But I mean, I also find it humorous, and I study Chinese, and I feel like I'm sympathetic to the Chinese cause more than most Americans. So.
Like people are like, that's racist, but if a comedian was like, we got the Kung Flu here this week, they'd be dying. They'd be like, oh, that's hilarious.
Right, exactly.
You're right. A senator shouldn't be saying that. I don't think it's appropriate to be saying. And Trump even said, I don't know if he said it was inappropriate or not. They did bring that up to him.
But he wouldn't. Like, the reporter who asked the question, she wouldn't identify the source of who said it. So he was like, well, I'm not going to, you just saying something from my administration or somebody from the government. Like, you could have just made it up, which maybe it is just made up.
Yeah.
I was pretty upset that he said he was singing the praises of Senator Cotton from Arkansas, because that guy's he was saying I can't remember what specific. Well, so originally when coronavirus was breaking out, Senator Cotton was on C-SPAN talking about the possibility that this virus had been weaponized in Wuhan because there's a facility near there, and I mean I
heard that.
That's terrible. Like you can't sit on the Senate floor and like hatch just make things up. You can't just spread rumor. That's not helpful.
Not in 2020 when everything immediately goes online. Like that clip gets replayed a million times, in a million different places.
Yeah. But I mean, it's both sides of the aisle too, because Hank Johnson was the guy who, and he's been reelected since then, but he made the comment when the military was trying to move forces from Okinawa to Guam, and he was concerned, and there's a video on it, I'm concerned that if the sudden influx of population to Guam, the island might actually tip over and capsize.
And he was like completely serious about it too.
Completely serious. So he was laughing, right? Everybody's clowning him, and then he got reelected still. So I mean, it doesn't even matter.
Those are the people we have in our government.
Name recognition. People get elected, man. Name recognition.
Yeah, that's 100% it. If you can get your name out there, if you have the money to put like your name on billboards and signs and like commercials and stuff like that, then that's how you can win. Especially if you have a strong like Democrat area, like it's all Democrats. You know? If it's like 50-50, then it's harder, obviously. But if it's like we know a Democrat's going to win this area, then the name recognition helps. Yeah. Fuck, man. Yeah, the virus. I'm planning on doing more podcasts, so that's good. I'm going up to LA actually on Saturday to do a guy's podcast called the Armbar Podcast. I think he was a third ANGLICO guy. I think it's more geared to like martial arts and stuff, but they just wanted to have me on, and I was like, all right, I'll go talk. I mean, I'm not a martial artist at all. I did Taekwondo when I was a kid. Watch out.
Get back.
Yeah, what's up? Green belt. What?
What?
I got my green belt in Iraq. Thank you, Sergeant Gay, my instructor for that.
Appreciate that.
He beat the fuck out of us out there. He was one of my best friends out there on the East Coast, and he probably one of the best shaped dudes I ever saw. Like he's always jacked, And we were in Iraq. This dude would take us on pack runs in the desert, and it's like summertime. We're just like, fuck, like making us go through this green belt course, which tells you like how easy Iraq was for me. I was doing a green belt course, running around with my pack on.
Shit,
on TQ.
My second deployment in Iraq was 2008. I was at Haditha Dam, and we would run the dam. Like it was a PT deployment. Is all we did. We just PT.
That would have been super interesting. Could you walk into the dam and explore?
Yeah, and it was during the drawdown too. So like there was way less people at the dam, American forces. So the gym, this massive gym inside the dam, and we could go in there and work out. It was a good time.
Was the whole dam open for you to like go into?
I mean,
was it an operating dam?
Yeah, it was an operating dam, but so there were specific sections that still were for the dam operation. But the majority, there was a lot, all the DFACs were inside the dam. The gym was inside the dam.
Wow.
The post office was inside the dam. There was a lot of the higher ups offices were inside the dam.
Damn. So the dam itself was just a base.
It was a fob, yeah, for sure.
That's weird, man. That would have been super cool to see. I wonder if Kajaki was like that. Did you ever go up to Kajaki?
I had no.
Never
there.
Man. Yeah, I TQ, man. I was on the desert side of TQ, so I'd stare at the flight line. I'd see medevac birds coming in. I'd see birds coming in, dropping supplies off. Our little facility where I was a mechanic at was on the very end of the flight line. So we were, there was nothing out there. There was a shitty little mini PX that you could walk to that didn't have anything in it. But you'd still go by to it, go check it out, because what else are you gonna fucking do?
Yeah.
And it was funny, they had 3-month-old magazines, would just be stacked up, nothing good. But and then the DFAC was the only cool thing to do, and hang out in the cans.
Did they have mid rats when you were there?
They had mid rats. I didn't really go to mid rats. I've never mid rats, and I'll tell you, mid rats on a DFAC is way better than mid rats on a ship.
Mid rats on a ship is garbage.
Mid rats on a ship is here's some frozen chicken nuggets. Sorry, man. Yeah. There's a rotten apple and some frozen chicken nuggets. My bad. Have a good night.
And they're having shrimp and lobster.
Dude, what a garbage ass thing. The food on ship is just. How many mews did you do? Did you just do one?
Just one. That's all I ever wanted. I never wanted to do another mew after that mew. It's terrible.
How was your berthing situation?
It was I think there was 260 of us.
So you had that mid-level. Were you on the big deck?
Yeah, we were on the big. Yeah, we were on the LHD, and we were towards the front of the ship, I think.
Yeah. Were you right behind the mess decks, and then one deck above it?
Yeah.
That's usually where the BLT berthing and stuff is. Is that who you were with at the time, or were you with ANGLICO?
I was with the command element.
Oh, you fucking loser.
So I was the fire chief.
So the first time I was there on the Mew, the command element was on this shitty little berthing on the same deck as the chow or as the mess decks. And dude, it was so small. We had 110 people in there, 3 showers. I think maybe it was 2 showers, maybe 3. It was 3 showers, 2 toilets, and 2 sinks.
Oh, that's terrible.
And we had so many people in there that we had guys living in the overflow bunks. The fourth rack that you couldn't store anything in it. So how they had those weird little lockers that you could put brooms and stuff in around the berthing area? That became dudes' gear lockers that lived in the overflow bunks. And our fucking the company gunny or the headquarters what do you call him, the commandant, headquarters commandant dude that was the company gunny for the headquarters nerds wouldn't go to the infantry guys to see if we could put some guys in their berthing, even though they had space. He was just kept shoving dudes into ours. It was miserable. It was disgusting. Everyone got sick. That's why this whole thing reminds me of people getting sick on ship. Yeah. And did you guys have that happen? The VGE?
I mean, we had
the Double Dragon.
I think we had the average amount of illness on our ship. I don't think it was anything crazy.
I think so on ship, you always hear about these cruise ships that they're 800 people are seasick or have food poisoning, blah, blah, blah. That's the Double Dragon, and that happens on a deployment. On our deployment, I've had one deployment happen 3 times during the workup and deployment, and one deployment only happened once or twice. I think it happened twice, and it's just the worst. I never got it, luckily, but you hear dudes just shitting and puking and just screaming it's fucking miserable.
Yeah, I mean, luckily on the big deck, it was the swell was never too bad. A couple times I popped over on the the LSD, the little one. That thing moves, especially in the med. You were it was pretty good movement. But I was also in a berthing with I think it was 5 other staff NCOs, so it wasn't too bad. But
yeah, that's how they were on ours, like that too.
Yeah, some guys did not weather like they were a little bit more susceptible to seasickness than others.
Yeah. Were you East Coast or West Coast MEU?
I was East Coast MEU. So I was on the 24th with 6 Marines.
Where was like the worst part, like for the weather-wise and like the ship
The Med. I feel like the Mediterranean was the worst.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like we got the most of our, I don't know if it was just the season but there was a couple times during the workup when we were like right off the Atlantic coast when we got a little bit of swell.
Yeah, it's known to be a pretty shitty area for boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know one time we had a sailor that I can't remember if he jumped overboard or fell overboard, but like they didn't find out until several, like 6 or 7 hours later that he was actually missing.
Oh, so no way.
They used weather patterns to figure out where he would have or ended up, and then they were steaming like full steam ahead to try to get to where they thought he was at. They found him actually.
No way.
Yeah, they got him out of the water.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Was he alive?
He was alive, yeah.
Holy shit, dude. We had an Osprey go into the water, and the crew chiefs ditched out the back, and one of the guys' vest didn't inflate. One of the crew chiefs' vest didn't work or something happened, and his buddy was holding on to him. And because they were wearing, sappy plate. They were running missions. This is very beginning of OIR. They were running missions into Iraq. And, his buddy couldn't hold on to him and had to let him go, dude. And we never found him.
Talk about survivor guilt.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. It was rough, man. I knew the pilot, like, I didn't know him, like, well, but I knew, like, working as a JTAC with him and stuff like that, like, he was an old first ANGLICO dude, too. And it just, it sucks. But what happened was there was some kind of maintenance mode that the aircraft can be switched onto.
Yeah.
And when it does that, it only gets like 70% power or something. Like it doesn't get the full amount of power it's supposed to. But there was no indicating light to tell you that it's on, right? So they're on the flight deck and they're getting ready to take off, and he doesn't know, and he goes to take off, and you know how they lift up and then they peel off to the side of the ship and then they go.
Yeah. Right.
Well, when it went off to the side, it lost altitude and started going into the water, and they're just fighting the aircraft, and it went into the water. They pulled it out of the water, went back down, and they told them to ditch. The pilots told the crew chiefs to ditch, and they ditched. Yep. It took off. They dumped fuel, and then they ended up landing it back, and then, like I said, they only recovered one of the crew chiefs. But so what?
Bird?
Yeah. They got it back up on the ship. So what happened was that indicator, or there was no indicator or something like that. This was something that had just come up, like as an issue in the fleet. Like I think HMX or somebody, one of the units was like, "Hey, this is an issue. We need to let people know about it." And it was supposed to be disseminated amongst the fleet. It got to the 11th MEU, and the guy that was supposed to tell everyone about it, give a briefing about it, got food poisoning. So he was SIQ, and they pushed the briefing back a couple days. And it ended up being like the fucking, from what I understand. If someone's out there that knows something different, that's what I understand is how it happened. But fuck, man.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Terrible. Yeah, there's no good there.
No, they didn't recover him. Like, people got real upset too because we only stayed for 24 hours, and they're like, "Hey, we can't find him. Like, we're going." There were other ships that stayed with like sonar capabilities and stuff like that. They pushed out a bunch of support, but our ship had to continue on because we had like an actual mission going on. Yeah. So, but there were people that weren't very happy about it. Yeah. And then there was like a fight on the flight deck at the fucking memorial. Like there was all kinds of shit that happened. Dude, because the Navy people, there was like Navy people on the catwalk behind the formations that were laughing and stuff. Like you could hear them laughing during the roll call and like all this shit's going on. Like, oh man, the Marines were fucking pissed. And there was like a fight that happened. Like, the whole thing was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like I don't even know the kid, but I'm going to come to the memorial because I think it's the right thing to do.
For sure.
But there were guys that didn't even leave the berthing. They're like, dude, I'm playing Xbox. Like, yeah, and I just didn't get it. I'm like, I don't get it, man. Like, the kid just fucking died.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? Like that kind of attitude, it would be how I think Navy people would look at us if we got pulled off the ship to go actually fight. You know what I'm saying? And then we'd come back and being all fucked up from fighting. You know, if the MEU was used like it's supposed to be used. And we'd come back and they'd be like, oh, you know, I think there'd be like this, I don't know, kind of resentment between each other.
Or resentment. I mean, nothing crazy happened on our MEU, so it wasn't anything significant. But I mean, I feel like the green and blue got along. We got along pretty well.
Not on mine. On the first deployment, man, the first couple of weeks, you dudes would like, you'd see guys get shoulder checked and stuff like that. Like Navy dudes are arguing with fucking Marines. They're like, it was shitty. It was a shitty command structure. The command didn't like the Marines, like all the way up to the, you know, the fucking command deck people on the Navy side didn't like the Marines. And it was like, dude, your whole fucking point in life is to drive Marines to where they need to go. Like that's literally the entire point of the ship.
Literally your job.
And it was just like constant. I mean, obviously over time, everyone works together and it gets a little better, but it was rough for a little while. Like they'd keep separate lines because they're like, the Marines are crowding everything. So this is a Navy line now, and this is a Marine line. And it's like, dude, what? We're all in this together. Like fucking. Yeah.
We had blue and green side lines too.
You'd see the Navy people hooking each other up with shit and stuff like that. When you're on ship, man, dudes are starving and stuff, and you're like, hey, motherfucker, I better get 2 pieces of chicken too. Like, I seen that.
Yeah, and the ship store that always been preference to the Navy.
Oh yeah, they never had Marine stuff in there. You couldn't buy Marine. Like, oh, I need chevrons. Like,
what's it? The SK1 who ran the ship store was my buddy though, so I was always good to hook up.
That's a good hookup. That's like guys. We had guys that were in the barbershop, and the ship store and the barbershop guys all worked together. And sometimes they could get a hookup, but dude, the barbershop guys would be dicks too. They'd be like, "You don't have an appointment. I'm not going to cut your hair." And you're like, "Bitch, fucking cut my hair, dude. Like, what are you doing?" or the Navy barbers won't cut Marine hair. They only cut Navy hair. Yeah. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't know. Yeah. Ship is the worst.
Yeah.
God. I don't miss. I can bitch about being on ship for days.
The rest of my life, I could bitch about being on ship.
But I would totally go on a cruise again.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing, though.
Oh man,
it's like going down when I go camping and go rock climbing. Like I swore after I got out of the Marine Corps that I would never camp ever again. Like fuck that, I'm not going to live in a tent. There's no reason. But now I enjoy it. It's like rejuvenation. You know?
Oh, 100%. It's a good reset.
Yeah, it's
a good to get outside for a couple days, even for a couple hours with no technology.
Yeah,
like it's just like, you know, I need a couple days because I am on my phone constantly. I am on my Instagram page constantly. I'm on my Facebook constantly. I'm on Twitter constantly. I'm a fucking loser. I'm on social media constantly, and it takes me
too. So
yeah, it's part of it. I say that, but a lot of it's bullshit. I don't need to get on there and debate politics with people and Twitter and fucking Facebook, but I do, whatever. You know, just informing the masses one comment at a time. It's whatever.
One comment at a time.
Yeah, right.
Just try to add some informed debate to the Facebook debacle. Because sometimes it just seems like it's like just the crazies running wild.
Yeah. That's what I do, man. I source stuff. I'm like, hey, here's an actual source. Read this. And some people, they just won't listen to any kind of logic, or they're so against whatever side, the other side, that they won't listen to anything. So it's like, dude, I'm not even going to engage you in conversation because it's pointless. You've made your mind. You're not changing it. Like, it's pointless. Yeah. So it's going to get the politics is going to get real shitty. I have a feeling they're going to try to, like Biden, because Biden's going to win, obviously. Fucking Bernie. I think Bernie already said he's going to concede.
Isn't he Bernie giving up?
He's talking about it. I mean, that dude never had a chance. Let's be honest. Like, if he got on stage with Trump, man, like, he would just tear apart. Like, you can't even tell like what you're paying, like how much your plan costs and shit like that. Like, it's cool. It sounds like a great plan, man. Like, everybody gets free healthcare. It's great.
Half of your budget is missing, my dude.
Yeah, a ridiculous amount. Like, that's why it gets tiresome about the, promising. Like, what can you? I was watching the CNN debate the other night, which was weird. Did you see that with Biden and?
Was it just Biden, the one with just Biden and Bernie?
Yeah, no audience.
And then Biden was talking about, he was like, me and Elizabeth Warren have signed on for this free college education. I'm like, wait, that's Bernie's platform. Like, why is Biden, I didn't think that Biden did well in that debate. I thought that Bernie did better.
Yeah, it's funny seeing them without crowd reactions. You know, it felt like there was way less, there was way more less, or however you say it, there's way less of them trying to like one-liners on each other. They were more talking to each other. Plus, it was just two of them, which obviously helped.
Right.
But I thought, and when like in that points like that, Bernie was like, "Oh, I'm glad you came on board. I've been saying this for 40 years."
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like, I don't know, Bernie's plans are just insane. Like, he has just some crazy out there. Like,
at one point in time, Bernie went like vote by vote, things that he had supported or not supported that turned out to be the right choice that Biden had been on the other side of, and I'm like, well, there's no arguing that. Like, that's, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I get like why people like him. He's consistent. You know?
I don't think anybody's going to beat Trump in 2020.
No,
I think
because once Bernie pulls out, all his like avid supporters are going to be anti-DNC, and like it's just they're just not going to vote. Or a lot of them voted for Trump last time, from what I understand, because they were like, you know, I'm not going to vote for an establishment Democrat.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of have a similar kind of message, you know, even though it's so wildly different as well.
I didn't like how CNN, like, it was like one after another, like, can you promise that you're going to do this? And then can you promise that you're going to do this? It's like, dude, shut up. Like, why would you quit? Those are shitty questions to ask in a debate. Yeah. Like, ask, like, what are you actually going to do? Don't force someone to be like, yes, I promise I will have a female vice president. You know, like,
I guarantee you it's going to happen.
Yeah, like, what? Ask actual questions. Who cares who the vice president is, as long as they do good? You should do what?
I think you should take Pete Buttigieg as his vice president candidate.
I didn't like that guy. I was
how do you not like him?
What do you mean? How could I like him at all?
Fellow veteran.
No. That dude churched up. I don't know, man. I didn't like him talking about being a veteran. Some of his pictures were stupid. Like, I mean, good on him for signing up. But he didn't do shit. He went over and stood on a huge ass fob. He probably went and had Hardee's and then took some photos in his freaking, kit.
He was a naval intelligence officer. He wasn't in.
I get it.
But I mean,
good on him. Again, good on him for signing up. But to continue to flout like, oh, I could be the best commander in chief ever because I'm a veteran. I've been to a combat zone and know what it's like. It's like, dude, no, you don't. What are you even saying right now? Like, what are you even saying right now?
I thought he at least was articulate. He was well spoken.
He was.
He was a little bit. I feel like his temperament was a little bit better than Trump's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as the Democratic candidates, I thought he was the one. But.
I think he came out as a moderate and then realized he needed to swing super far left and did that, and then realized that that's Bernie's spot. You know, and Elizabeth Warren did the same thing. They both took these super left slanted policies, and they're like, "Yeah, that's what I want. That. Yep, I'm for never deporting anyone ever again. Stuff like that. It's like that wasn't your policy a couple months ago when you were a moderate. Now you're changing it to appease your base.
The downside of our political machine, the way that it works in our country.
And even the Democrats made a good point. The people that were beating him up, talking about how he only won his seat as a mayor by like 500 votes. Maybe it was less than that. It was a super slim margin in South Bend, Indiana. Like, how can you expect this dude to perform nationally when he can barely even win a small town, mayor program? Yeah, he did. No, yeah, it was weird. Like, he had a couple up front like showings, and then he just disappeared.
He won Iowa, tied New Hampshire, and then he got into the South. And
I think what he did was he set himself up for a future in politics.
Yeah, and minority voters, they don't have his back.
Not at all. That was his thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the big thing about him. Yeah, and then Biden talking about putting fucking what's his name from California or from Texas, and Beto O'Rourke in charge of his gun program.
I can't.
Like the most left-wing dude you could put at the gun program.
For taking your AKs?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. He was like, I will take your AR-15. He's like, okay, who? Like, are you really? You know how many people are going to get killed trying to come and get people's guns like that? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
There's a lot of people that'll turn them over, but there's going to be a lot of people that are like, fuck you. Like, I'm not turning my shit over.
Majority of gun owners would say fuck you if you try to infringe on their right.
I think the march, the rally they had in Virginia was a good showing for the Second Amendment people.
So great.
They looked like douchebags, some of them did, but it's like, you know what, man, that's your right. You want to wear that shit?
I mean, that's the best. I was fairly certain that there would be some kind of Antifa sect that would dress up as members of the protest and then create, some kind of...
No, there were Antifa and like LGBTQ people that were like, hey, we're here for fucking Second Amendment too. Like, we believe in it as well,
Yeah. I was pretty happy with it. And
bringing fringe groups together.
Fucking governor of Virginia, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they've been trying to pass some pretty strict laws in Virginia. You'd have to have permits or get rid of like a lot of different weapons.
Yeah, I mean Bloomberg, he funded a lot of the state legislature there, and so he was like, yeah, we'll give all this money. He's like, but there was a caveat. He's like, we need you to help rein in our gun control. So
I can't believe they didn't make their governor resign after those photos came out. After the whole like super woke culture does not matter to their own like people. Like, I cannot believe they allowed him to stay in office. They're like, you're either the dude with blackface or you're the dude in the KKK outfit. Like,
exactly.
which one do you want to claim? Because
neither one of those are winning policies.
It's just funny. All these like dudes come out, like the Trudeau came out with, his pictures came out from, I feel like we're from the similar era. Well, maybe not the governor of Virginia, but Trudeau, he's what is he, like 40? We're mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember anyone ever, and I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up in the deep South. Like, I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the farthest south you can go in Tennessee. And like, I don't remember that at all. I don't remember anybody doing like blackface or.
Yeah, that's some old shit.
That's some, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. I saw them do a bit about it. Not a bit, but like an episode where they're doing it on Mad Men. Did you ever watch Mad Men?
I've seen some episodes, but yeah.
Dude, that's probably one of my favorite shows ever. I think I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, like all the way through. Like 3 or 4 times. It
doesn't surprise me.
I find a show I like, and I just watch it over and over again because it becomes something I can play while I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's the West Wing for me.
I could never get into it, which is weird. You'd think I'd get into a politics kind of show.
All seven seasons, like 4 or 5 times.
What are you binge watching now? Anything?
No, actually. I've been down here, so my schedule's kind of all out of whack because I'm up here staying with my parents and working with my brother. So I'm just trying to not let all my knowledge from school drain out of my brain during the extended spring break.
Where are you guys at? Where your parents live at?
Wadsworth, Ohio.
Yeah, is that like a small town?
Northeast Ohio. It's probably about 2 hours north of Columbus, 45 minutes south of Cleveland.
What's the cost of living looking like out there?
It's pretty cheap. Pretty. Yeah.
I tell people back here, or I tell people here when I go back home, I look at the prices for houses and stuff like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like you can't even buy a condo, like an apartment for what you can get. Multiple acres. And, my sister was looking at a 6-bedroom house or 4-bedroom. No, maybe it was 4-bedroom house, 5-bedroom. I don't know. Big enough so that my mom could live there as well. And it had like over 2,000 square feet and like 6 acres of land. And it was like $250,000. I'm like, Jesus, dude. Like, that is so cheap. God.
Insane.
San Diego is just out of control.
It's insane. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the homeless population in LA is 70,000, okay? And LA County is 70,000 people. That's almost the entire population of where I'm from. Lafayette, Indiana has almost 100,000 people there. In San Diego, it's bad, but it's not that bad. San Diego, I think there's like 8 to 10,000 is what their estimate is. Yeah. But still, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of homeless people that you have. And this virus is going to hit Skid Row and just fucking decimate California. And that's going to be like a crazy hot zone. I drove through Skid Row before just to check it out. I was up in LA and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? This place it's like driving through a third world country. It's insane. I don't know if you ever went up there.
That they've built now, right? It's like,
what's that?
It's like a whole city now, isn't it?
Oh, dude, it's so basically under every every overpass and stuff like that is encampments and stuff. If you have if you look over like a bridge, you always have these little shitty creeks or whatever, dried creek beds. There's always homeless encampments in those. And they're always catching on fire too. There's like multiple fires a day in homeless encampments. There's this page I follow. It's called the Street People of Los Angeles. And it's just every day they're putting videos of people doing fires or people doing drugs on the street, like smoking meth, like right there sitting down smoking meth while people are walking by them, shooting up, people defecating in the streets. Like, it's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's you gotta get a handle on that situation.
Well, they changed so in San Francisco they changed the law to they can only arrest people if the crime cost over $1,000. So now homeless people and fucking, thieves are coming into grocery stores or coming into like fast, like 7-Elevens and stuff and just taking up to like $900 worth of stuff and walking away, because if they get caught, they won't go to jail. They'll get a ticket. They'll get cited a ticket and that's it. So, wow. So if a homeless person or a criminal comes and busts your car window out, one, he'll never get caught, but they'll say he does. They're going to give him a ticket and let him go. And it's on you to contact your insurance and take care of it. Like because it's under $1,000.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. And once this virus hits that population of people, you're going to see a ton of dead people. It's going to be a ton of dead people in that area.
Plus, extreme strain on the healthcare industry up there, I'm sure, because nobody has insurance and they're just going to be flooding the hospitals.
Yeah. California is a weird place, dude. And the thing is it's so expensive, and everyone bitches about how expensive it is, but they won't move. They refuse to move. It's like, the housing here is too expensive. I'm like, you know where it's not expensive? Iowa. Check it out. It's not a bad spot. Go to Tennessee, no state tax. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nashville's going to be expensive, but you live off in a little holler somewhere,
There's a Daniel Tosh. He did a stand-up. It's an older stand-up, but he's talking about California and, how expensive it is to live there and, how people complain about it. He's in the middle of a skit. He's like, I can't afford a 2-bedroom townhouse for $600,000. Good, move east.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
that's for people who gave up on their dreams.
People are like, I'm getting close to being a paycheck away from being homeless. It's like, well, then that's the time you should start considering your other options of where you need to move to.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, man. Minimum wage out here is rising. I think it's on some kind of program where it's eventually going to hit $15 an hour. A lot of places already pay $15 an hour. You can go work at Panda Express and make $15 an hour,
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, man. If your plan is to stay in a minimum wage job for the rest of your life, then that's the life you get. You get a minimum wage life.
That's not a plan.
That's not a plan. Be the best minimum wage person that's there, and then move up to, like an assistant manager, then a manager at McDonald's, and then use that to leverage into another fucking career.
Yeah, right.
I don't get it, man. People just aren't self-starters.
They're not.
So let's get to this whole $1,000 tax, $1,000 to every person. It sounds like they're going to give $1,000 to every adult and $500 to children. What do you think about that?
I'm not a fan. I think I posted a meme on Facebook the other day. It was regarding history. In the history of economic crisis in countries across the world, the answer is not to print more money. And I feel like at least $150 billion that's earmarked to distribute to individuals in the $1 trillion stimulus, that's just giveaway money. It's not money the government expects back. Luckily, the rest of it, the $300 billion for the small businesses, is just loans. The $150 billion to the airline industry, that's loans. At least from what I'm not a legislator, but from what I understand, that's the most of it is loans.
Is it? Okay.
It's not like $1 trillion of free money that the government's printing and giving away.
That's my argument to when people are like, well, they fucking bailed out the banks, but they can't bail out fucking Main Street, and it's like, no, dude, the banks paid them back. Like that's
expected.
That's you're going to give me this money, or I'm going to give you this money, but you're fucking giving it back to me kind of deal. Right, do you expect the individuals for let's say student loan debt? Yeah. Do you think, okay, hey, once you're on your feet, I want that money for your master's program, bro? Like, give me that fucking money. That's not going to happen.
No.
And so it's two different, like when people bring that up, I'm like, that's two different things, because one is money that you're canceling a debt that you're never going to receive that back. And the other one is a loan, like you said.
Yeah.
Now, you may argue the fact of how much they got or some of the terms of the loan. That can be argued, but, the fact that they got it, I don't know. Now,
Yeah.
I did like today in the news conference that Trump said that he would also support those companies not being able to do stock buybacks and like bonuses for their CEOs and stuff like that. He's like, I'm totally behind that.
Yeah, I saw Mark Cuban talking about that too.
So that's good because that's the kind of shit that pisses off voters. They're like, dude, you just like gave my money to this company and they're giving, they're due $1 million. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the world you're entering into, though. What do you think about bonuses?
I mean, I'm headed into private industry, so
yeah.
EY is not a public firm, so I mean they're not traded on any kind of on New York Stock Exchange. Everything, it's a partnership. It's not even a corporation.
Oh, really?
The way that Ernst Young and Deloitte and all the RSM, all these public accounting firms, and also lawyers private lawyer firms, and you start off as an associate, which is what I'll be. Well, I'll be an intern this summer. Hopefully, they offer me a job as an associate. I start after I graduate as an associate, do 2 years as a junior associate, a staff associate is what they call it.
Yeah.
Then you become a senior associate. You do that for 3 years, get bumped up to manager, do that for 3 to 5 years. Then you become a senior manager. And then if you do well and you start selling for the company and bringing in revenue for the firm, then you can make partner. And so once you're a partner, at the end of the year, after all the expenses are paid, all your employees, after you pay bonuses out to all your employees, whatever the net income is for your firm, that gets split amongst the partners. So the office that I'm going to, there's 10 partners in the office. So those 10 partners split the income, the net income from the firm, and then that's flow through income to the individual. So you're liable for the tax liabilities on the individual partner. Although
I was going to say, isn't that a way that how companies basically get down to zero, where they're like, hey, we didn't make any money this year because we pushed all this money out.
So you still have to pay the taxes on the money, but the taxes, like the partners own the firm.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So the income belongs to the partners. So the 10%, if there's 10 partners in the firm, the 10% of this partner's, earnings from the firm, I'm still responsible for the income that I earn. The partners are still responsible for the income they earn. They have to pay taxes on it. But yeah, these are accountants, so they're creative in reducing your tax liability.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine. Hey, there's fringe benefits for every job, right?
Yeah, and they do. They have an awesome. They have both a defined benefit and defined contribution plan. So they have a pension as well as an IRA that they contribute into. They do a lot for their employees. It's hard to get a job, but once you're in there, they they work you a lot. So I imagine I'll be putting in, especially when I'm associate, I'll be working 60 to 70 hours a week. But the compensation is significant. So I'm happy about that.
Well, that's good. Do you plan on staying there so I've heard like people say, hey, you should only stay at a job for like 3 years and move to another place, like constantly be moving to, I don't know.
Yeah. And so public accounting, there's a lot of people that do that, especially with the big four. You'll go in, you'll work, do 3 years as an associate, and then use that to leverage a position out in industry. So you'll go work for, Dow Chemical, or you'll go work for Harley Davidson, or you'll go work for Lockheed Martin, and then do internal industry accounting for them, because they're going to pay you a lot more than you're going to make as an associate at EY. And your job, honestly, is a lot simpler because you're just dealing with the accounting for that specific company that you work for. But what I'm going to do, or what my plan is, and everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
But I want to be on a partner path. So I plan on going to EY, putting in 15 years, making partner, working for another 10 as a partner, and then, go sit on a beach and drink Mai Tais for the rest of my life.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. That's a plan. That's what you want to do. Some people get into that. I feel like I could do all right in an office, but it'd have to be the right environment.
So it's really like the work is, especially the office that I'm going to and the sector that I'm going into, it's very investigatorial. So you go in and you look at a company's financial statements and you look at their records and you go, okay, well, these are areas where you have deficiencies where you could be doing a lot better. So you find out ways that they can reduce their expenses and generate more income for their company.
Yeah.
And obviously the company compensates EY for that service. But you do it for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then you move on to the next client.
So are you the dude that comes in and like basically tells them who they should fire? Like, hey, you got to get rid of 20% of this section. Dead weight.
Thanks, Bob. I mean, I don't really know. So I'm not 100% sure of how it's going to look day to day once I get into the job. But yeah, a lot of it is, it's not necessarily, layoffs or downsizing always, but there's a lot of different ways that a company can move around their money or pay their expenses or, pay out their accounts payable faster so they can take care of or take advantage of some advantages that are written in their contract. Like there are different terms for a contract. So you can have like if you pay off this expense within 10 days, you'll get like a 2% discount on the total purchase.
Yeah.
But if you pay it within 30 days, you pay the whole amount, so it's like 210 net 30, so 2% discount if you pay within 10 days, total amount within 30 days. And so I don't know. I mean,
so no master's program in your future, huh?
I hope not.
No MBA?
No. The professional degree for an accountant is a bachelor's, so I don't want to go to any more school. I'm so done.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have a lot of friends that go straight from their undergraduate into their master's program, and I can't fathom sticking around school for another 2 years to get my master's. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, but you're doing a lot of technical stuff too, I mean, I'm not, like, for me, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Like, I'm more, it's writing and stuff, for me. So I'm not doing math. I'm not doing hard sciences. Like, I'm doing right now I'm doing like a natural disasters class, to fulfill one of my hard sciences that I needed to do, my physical sciences that I needed to do. So yeah, I don't know. Master's program doesn't look too bad for if communications or something, but I've also been looking at there's a USC has a Master's of Business for Veterans program. And two of the guys I knew that from First ANGLICO went through that program. One's getting ready to finish actually. So, one of them wants to get into consulting and one of them is doing, he's trying to break into the, commercial real estate market. So he's managing he's managing a multi-million-dollar account in Nashville. So, Jeez. Yeah, I'm like, dude, good on. I mean, that's one of those, you got a USC, email. That's like the mafia.
Yeah.
They,
OSU, like Fisher College of Business. That's, I mean, the one of the main reasons that people go there is because who recruits out of that business school. If you do well at school, you get a good GPA, and you can, you're at least mildly charismatic when you go in for your interview.
Yeah.
You got a good chance of landing a decent job.
It's like going to like the Citadel or something in the South. It's just that network of people. Yeah. I mean, look, too, USC, I think that's the one they paid the most money to sneak their kids into. So that's got to be something on the social standing, right?
Yeah.
As fucked up as that is. Oh,
I'm just over academia a little bit, I think. And I try to talk myself down off that ledge on a daily basis because I know that once I get done with it and get into my career field, my next career field, I'll look back and be like, oh, I wish I had, not pushed through it so quickly. But I mean, it's hard not making any money.
Well, I mean, the GI Bill helps. For me, like I just do the website and stuff. So you got to find something that works. I didn't want to work for somebody, and I didn't want to get like a whatever part-time job. Although before this virus happened and we're all in lockdown, I had considered going over to one of the local firing ranges and getting a part-time job there just so I could go and shoot, for cheap or free. Right. I imagine you get free range time.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I get it, man. The making money is important, but in my job, it's all creative. So for this, like the podcast, if let's say this podcast crash and burns, let's hope it doesn't. Everyone, subscribe today.
Listen, subscribe.
If it does, then at least I have a professional like reel to put in my portfolio. I could be like, hey, look here, I produced this podcast on my own. I never, I learned it all on YouTube. I'm self-taught because I'm trying to get into journalism or advertising, one or the other.
Right.
The dream job would be going to like film documentaries, but
what
are you going to do? I was hoping to travel to either Italy or South Africa this summer, and that is probably not going to happen.
Obviously.
Italy is definitely not going to happen. Now, my cousin lives in Milan, which is one of the hardest hit cities. I'm thinking about hitting her up and see if she wants to come on the podcast and just kind of talk about like what real world, like what's going on in the city and
Sure,
and stuff like that. Insight. I think that'd be a super interesting thing for people to see because they're going through the worst of it. And I just heard a statistic before we got on here that in Italy, the mean age of death is 80. So it's like, you know, and I guess Italy is being hit harder than most countries because they have a oversized old population. Like a larger amount of their population is older. Right, so that's why they're
makes sense.
Dude, they have like a quarter of the deaths for the entire world, I think.
That's crazy.
I think they're over 3,200 deaths now in Italy. Yeah. Which is insane.
I think I heard today that it's 2 days now that China has had no new cases reported.
Yeah, and I don't expect we're going to have similar results just because China were like beating their people to keep them indoors and like covering everything and disinfecting.
I mean, China obviously is not great on human rights, and there are some violations. But the Chinese people as a whole, especially in recent years when the Chinese economy has boomed, and everybody, has increased their standard of living to such a dramatic degree, the reality of still the government, you do what the government says and you don't cross the street if the crosswalk doesn't say cross. In America, it's like you look both ways. There's no cars coming. I'm going to cross the street. Like Chinese students at OSU, there'll be American like students walking across the street when there's no cars coming. They'll just stand there and wait until the light changes. Yeah, because in China you don't. And so I don't think that the Chinese government had to beat people to get them to stay indoors. They just said, hey, stay indoors. That's the order. Do what we say.
Well, there were some videos I saw of them like dragging people away that could have been infected. There were some pretty crazy videos coming. China's not great, man. They just kicked out the American journalists. They kicked out New York Times, Washington Post, and I think the Wall Street Journal.
Because they don't like criticism.
Yeah. No, they're not a fan. So I think they had a better way of getting a handle on it. And then we also get criticized because North Korea has been like super efficient with their testing. And that's like our issue right now is our testing is bad. And it's getting better. It's obviously getting better. But the only reason that North Korea is ready to go for testing is because they just had SARS like 3 years ago. And they were like, dude, we got fucked. We need to get all these test kits, and we didn't have that actual effect of it. So, when you're cutting line items in the budget, what's that?
Was it North or South? I know South Korea had a really good response.
South Korea.
Well. Okay.
South Korea. Who knows what North Korea is doing?
I don't. Yeah, exactly.
They're probably killing dudes as they find out. Like, get the fuck. Yeah. It's like zombies.
Dead. Yeah.
Get him in the brain. He'll come back to life. I don't know, man. We could be. I don't know how the U.S. is going to react to if we get like a full up lockdown. Like, don't leave your homes.
So, have you ever heard of WeChat?
I have.
Yeah, so I have WeChat just to chat with my Chinese friends. So, but it's where they like post and it's obviously all in China. Well, never mind. It's all in Chinese. So I use it to practice my reading and whatnot of my friends. But
good on you for learning Chinese, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. Some days it just makes you want to start a pistol. But I hope it's useful in the long run,
I'm sure it'll be.
The student, like like on the app and on social media, like Chinese social media and in Chinese, like they're all pretty calm about it. Like they're really, actually, the Chinese students that I know and the Chinese teachers and people at OSU, they're super embarrassed. They're very, they were really embarrassed by like copyright infringement. Like that's like their big, they refer to it as like their big sin.
Oh, really?
Because that's, growing up, like everything, just was free. There's no such thing as copyright infringement. Most Chinese people didn't know until we started making a big deal about it because this is, these are our royalties that are being infringed upon. Literally
stealing everything.
Yeah, exactly. But that was just the way of life, you just get it for free. And then now it's, COVID-19 is a kind of a similar situation for them. They're like, shit, and it's not like these individual Chinese people cultivated the virus, but they, it's from their country. And so they feel a certain amount of shame.
That sucks, man. I think people realize it's not generally the Chinese people. It's the Chinese government, like people don't hate the people. It's the government. However, the people shouldn't be eating bats. But obviously, we have people in Louisiana that are eating gators and fucking frogs and everything else. You know, it's not like it's unknown for people to eat weird shit in the U.S.
like
either.
the wildlife food that they sell in the wet markets, it's not typical. Like average wage level Chinese individuals, they eat beef and poultry like you know most people. The exotic foods are really the wealthier, the ones that that patronize this kind of food.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the reason that you know it was able that China allowed the markets to stay open and allowed that industry to continue to be open because influential individuals wanted it. But yeah, I feel like after the breakouts in the past, they probably should have just closed it down. But now, definitely with Corona, like they should, you know, that should not be something that the wet market should not even be around anymore.
Yeah,
they stack animal on top of animal on top of animal, and then the animals shit on each other and transmit virus. Like they're live animals. It's fucking. It's kind of crazy.
I've seen videos of the or pictures of like the bats and stuff like ready to be purchased, you know, and it just looks like these weird rat looking things with fangs that they're like buying up. It's like, oh, how could you eat that? You know, like, I mean, but hey, every culture is different though, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I eat deep fried grasshoppers and cockroaches in Thailand. So,
I would probably do grasshoppers, but not fucking cockroaches, dude.
Oh, it's gross. The squid, the more guts that were to the bug, the more it would like squish in your mouth. It's not my bag.
Purdue University has a cricket spitting contest every year. Like it's like a huge deal. Like it's a big thing. I don't know. It's like on the news and shit. Like you'll see it on the news.
That's
and
crazy.
they come out and then you can go and eat like chocolate covered fucking crickets and like all this. I don't know, man. Indiana. It's an agricultural school. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing?
They're just going crazy over there.
But you know, it's like they definitely do need to close these markets out because obviously we've had multiple viruses come out of there. It originates from there. So, and then back to what we were talking about before, people saying that it's racist to call it Trump calling it the China virus. It's not racist, and the people that are fucking being shitty to Chinese people are already shitty people anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
they
weren't like, you know what, Trump said this is a Chinese virus, so fuck them. You know,
Chinese people, I'm just gonna go beat them up.
Yeah, like these are already fucked up people anyway, because no normal person acts like that, you know, or I don't know. Even though I haven't even seen any actual news reports of anybody, and I'm not saying they're not. I'm sure there's actual shit happening, but I haven't seen anything on the local news that said, you know, Chinese person fucking.
I saw one article where a Chinese person had been beat up or something, but yeah, no, nothing.
That sucks. You have an interesting insight on it just because you've been studying Chinese and you obviously know people, you know, that are Chinese and stuff like that. So, have any of their families been affected by it?
You know, they don't really talk. I like my friends, my Chinese friends don't really talk about it a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, they're very. Especially with issues that bring that bring the country into question, they're always super slow to talk about it. Like most Chinese people will never talk to you about what's going on in Hong Kong. Like Chinese Uber driver when I was in California.
Well, that shit's over now.
Yeah, is it like you don't hear about it anymore, right?
They can't. I mean, would you risk it?
Yeah.
They showed videos of Hong Kong, the streets of Hong Kong just empty, which I've been to Hong Kong a couple times, and that's never empty. Yeah. It's Hong Kong's cool, and there were some dust ups after we left there. I think that's when they first start. Well, I mean, I think they always have issues. Hong Kong's they're in that weird limbo where they want to be independent, but China's like, no, dude, we own you. You know?
Yeah. I mean.
Our ship fucked up, and when we pulled into Hong Kong, the sailor accidentally flew the Taiwan flag instead of the Hong Kong flag. And they were like, that's a big deal. Like, if any official Chinese people saw that, they would be like, this is... They were like, they wouldn't be surprised if they canceled the Libo port and made us, like, leave.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, the United States foreign policy is still, you know, it's from Nixon's day, you know, there is one China and Taiwan is part of China. You know, that's U.S. foreign policy. You know, the leader of Taiwan can't set foot on American soil because in America's mind, as far as foreign policy, Xi Jinping is the leader of Taiwan because he represents all of China, and we have a one China policy that's our foreign policy.
But we also speak out in support of like the protesters and stuff in Hong Kong.
Also, we also sell arms to Taiwan. But which China doesn't want us to do, but we won't stop doing.
Yeah.
So we kind of play both sides of that coin. I think the majority of Americans probably would be supportive of a democratic Taiwan where they can, are separate from China. But, America's never gonna. I don't see America supporting that. So if America won't support and speak up for a free and independent Taiwan, there's no way they're going to speak up and support a free and independent Hong Kong.
Well, I mean, because it comes down to what end,
Right. I mean, how much of the United States debt does China own?
Well, not even that. Who cares? Money's fake anyway, right? Like, we can tell them to go fuck.
Interest payments aren't. And a lot of people don't even realize that America's credit rating got degraded. What, last year? Was it last year, or was it in 2019 or 2018?
No,
but
did it?
For the first time in history? Yeah, you never even read about it.
Huh? I think that happened during the downturn, the economic downturn.
In 2008, we still kept it up, but it was I can't remember what year. It was during the Trump administration. I know that for sure.
Really? Yeah, I never heard anything about that, but I'm surprised.
Yeah, but it's all about what wants to get reported, right?
That's odd because it's been nothing but continued growth. Like every month you see more and more the job outlooks have been blowing out estimates over and over again. I think only 1 or 2 months have they not,
Yeah. In February 12th, the Dow closed at like 29,300.
Down 10,000 points, man.
Down 10,000 points a month, yeah.
Which, if you're our age, like, oh, well, if you got retirement accounts, like, that right now is a good time to start throwing extra money,
Right.
Like start buying up because now's the time. That's a lot of like super rich people are going to throw money into this and just become even more rich.
Yeah.
And good on them. They're doing their thing. They're doing what they're supposed to. As long as they pay their fucking taxes, then who cares?
So, what? It was August 5th, 2011. No, so it was after.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, I remember that happening then.
Wars, which reduced the country's rating from AAA to AA+.
But that was 2011 was like right in like. That was during the recovery period. No, you know what? No, it wasn't because the actual, the recession. This is something I found out because everyone talks about like this isn't Trump's economy. This is Obama's economy. He's working, And then I posed the question like, well, then thank President Bush for ending the recession because the recession officially ended like 6 months into Obama's presidency, meaning he wouldn't have had time to have any kind of actual impact on it.
What was the name of the program that? It was actually Bush that implemented the program, but it starts with a T.
I don't know.
Anyways, I can't remember, but it was Bush the Bush administration had implemented it, but it took effect, and then it had
what was the program? Like, what did it do?
It was an influx of capital to some.
Oh. I can't remember. The automotive industry? Is that when they give the bailout?
I don't think it was. It wasn't the bailout, but that was also a Bush era.
Or is that, what do they call that? What's that term? I don't know. I should have a financial guy. Come on.
See, I should be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to get real world experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about like academia. You only learn like what they're teaching you,
Yeah, and when I've multiple times I've gotten a lesson and I'm like, how old is this information? Like this is old, and because I'm doing social media, I'm doing, it's all media classes, it's all writing classes, stuff like that. But a lot of like the current events and stuff like that, they're talking about stuff. Well, like the lessons were made before Instagram was like famous. Like hey, there's this new one. Instagram's becoming quite big. And it's like, what the fuck are we even talking about? Yeah, honestly, I would say at least half of my classes, you could get the same information from YouTube. And that's the thing about being a journalist. Like, you can be a good writer and just submit a writing piece to a newspaper or whatever, and maybe get a job. You don't necessarily need a degree. However, if you want to get a job in like a corporate structure, like media firm or something like that, they're just like any other like major company. Your resume is going to go through a machine, and the first thing it's going to say is no bachelor degree. Spit it out the side. It's a reject. So you're not even going to get looked at because people are like, oh, you don't need a degree, man. Like you you know what you're doing. You're smart. And I'm like, yeah, but I got to get the interview,
Right.
and without the degree,
You gotta get in the door.
without a degree, it's hard to get an interview if I even want to go that route. I would love for the podcast to blow up and the website to blow up and stuff like that. And that just become my income. And then I can travel and make videos and stuff like that. And like, do independent journalism. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's the dream.
But, it's realistically, I'm not opposed to going and getting a job. That's what I told like a real job. That's what I told myself when I was getting out. When people are like, bro, you're at 12 years, like you're getting the fuck out. And I'm like, dude, one, what's it worth? 8 more? You're saying it's only 8 more years. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it is. I did from 2009. I did my first deployment. And so between 2009 and 2018, I got home in 2000. I think I got home in 2017. In that time frame, I did 5 deployments. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's 8 years right there, basically. That's like 9 years. So I could end up doing like more, and it just wasn't worth it. Like going on a MEU and sitting on LFOC watch, answering the fucking phone. Yeah. Like, to me, it's like, dude, just send us to Kuwait and let us work. Like, let us, even if it's in Kuwait at the range, like we can get work done. But on the ship, I'm worthless. And anyway. But what I was getting at was I was telling people like, hey, I can get out and survive because I know way too many morons out in the real world that are making it somehow. And if they can make it, I know I could make it. Like I'll survive. Like there's just too many idiots out there that are surviving, but people are afraid to leave that safety net. That's the military.
And the military is just too keen on, especially in the enlisted rank structure, and just promoting mediocrity, man. Like if you towed the line and you haven't made waves, and you're in the middle third on your fucking tracker, and you haven't been NJP, like those are like you're hitting the wickets, you're gonna get promoted. Whereas if you have highs and lows, you're fucked because those lows are just gonna make you non-promotable.
Yeah, they're afraid to tell people they suck. A lot of times, you get guys that get decent fit reps, and you're like, dude, you were just bitching about this dude. Like, sir, why would you give him a good fit rep when you say you don't trust him? Yeah. Like, especially in our job, you become a staff NCO, you're like in charge of approving everything looks good. Shoot that big ass gun, hey, do it. Or drop that fucking bomb. Like you
need to be a competent individual.
Yeah. There is not a lot of room for error in a job like ours. And artillery in general, that's how there's so many firing incidents. It's always artillery. It's always artillery or A-10s for some reason. It's like, I don't know what it is with those platforms, but did you ever have any firing incidents while you were in? Did you ever almost get hit by anything?
We shot Fox batteries shot out of the box in training in Camp Lejeune. That shut us down one time.
Were you there? OP5?
I wasn't on OP5. I was on, I was on OP5, but we had to go like over by OP3, I think, is where like just by the angle of fire where it went out. It almost skipped over. Was it Lyman Road right there?
Oh, I heard about that one. Okay. Yeah, I heard about that one. I think
me and Master Guns Locke, who was the regimental FAC at the time, we went over there together. And he's like, let's go see if we can figure out what's going on. We're just walking through the woods. I'm like, there's a fucking unexploded ordnance somewhere around here, Master Guns. What the fuck are we doing? Was
it an HE round?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
I came across it. You could see it. It was like, so, all the color geared off when it comes out of the tube. So it's just this shining silver, like right at my feet. And I'm like, here.
I'd have been fucking shaking. I'd have been so nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, that's a live round. Like that'll fuck you up.
It could go boom right now and I'd be fucking dead as fuck.
But no, I was talking about the time OP5 got hit. I was up there right by OP5. Oh. Yeah, that was a good time. And then one of my guys actually had a Mike 825 round skip out, which is, for those that don't know, it's a base ejecting white phosphorus round. So you have just a shell, kind of like you would have with a loom. The shit that you want, pops out the back, and then the empty canister continues on. They had a Mike 825 round that the trajectory was too low. Like it was within, I think, the joint reg, the actual standards when they shot it. And it skipped out of the impact area and hit a van. There was a guy going home, and it hit a minivan on Lyman Road.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it slammed into a vehicle. Can you imagine driving into the base and boom?
That's a big, but the thing weighs like 100 pounds.
100 pounds, yeah. Yeah, he hit a minivan.
Back off the road.
God. 210, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah, that happened. They changed the range regs after that. They couldn't shoot that shallow.
Something else.
Who were you with out in 10th Marines? Just regiment for a little bit, right?
I was only with regiment. Yeah, I was at artillery training school on and off. Like I went to 10th Reg. I was with you guys, and we kind of had artillery training school was like a rotational billet, you know.
Yeah.
And then I just got stuck there. And
I liked it, man.
I liked it too. I did. I that's the problem, that I liked it too much, and then I did it for so long, and I became like the guy that was always out there. You know, when we go do regimental shoots or battalion shoots, I would come out and evaluate the FIS teams.
Yeah. I love going to the hill. I miss going to the hill.
Like it was me and Gunny Ibanez.
Gunny Ibanez.
Yeah, and then Gunny Ibanez is getting out. I wasn't planning on getting out at the time, but I was going around doing evaluations, and I ruffled a lot of feathers because there was a lot of people that were just fucked up sometimes out on the hill, like Marines that were just doing bad, you know.
Yeah, people hate being told they're fucked up.
Yeah, so I would tell like the regimental fire chief, you know. I think when I first got there, it was Russell.
He came out. He came out to Pendleton. I saw him a couple times. He was over at One Meth.
Yeah,
he's retired now, obviously.
Called the Imperial Meth.
Yeah, right. Out smoking his Black and Milds.
Yeah, and then Master Guns Kepler came in after him, and then Master Guns Villette was my last regimental fire chief at 10th Marine Regiment. But Master Guns Villette, me and Master Guns Villette served in 5th ANGLICO together. He was a plank holder at 5th ANGLICO. He was a staff sergeant at the time, and then so we had a little bit of history. I had suffered through so much time with Russell and Kepler, like I was just completely fucking checked out from 10th Reg by the time Villette showed up. He tried to help me out, but I was not feeling it.
Yeah, when you hit a point where you're like, I'm done, I'm out, like you're not a good person to be around, really.
Yeah, exactly. I was probably the worst person to be around. Like
you're like that toxic tumor in the unit, telling everybody how shitty it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That was me at the MEU for a while. I was just like, dude, fuck the MEU. Like, we got all the new guys that were coming in to do the next, work up in deployment. And I'm like, fucking, you'll be sorry. Like, welcome.
Don't do it.
Welcome.
Get out now.
Welcome to hell. Yeah, it's just a shitty workup and a shitty deployment, man. It just sucks.
We went and did I remember it was maybe 6 months before I was getting out, and the CO, the regimental CO and sergeant major brought everybody over to Fiddler's Green, all the staff and COs, and they're like, why can't we retain Marines? And I'm out the door, like I'm leaving, so I'm holding nothing back. I'm like,
yeah.
I'll tell you exactly why you can't retain Marines. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You spend all your time doing gear layouts. You never fucking train. Your training is garbage.
Yeah, you treat people like children rather than treating them like adults, and then punishing the ones that act like children.
You're making them sleep in a rot-ridden barracks, you know.
Dude, I tell people all the time the barracks of 10th Marines were the worst. Not the regiment ones. The regimental ones weren't too bad. They had those nice ones across the street, but on the other side of N Street, where all the battalions were, the battalion barracks were fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember we had a new battery gunny show up. Just came off the drill field, so you know how that goes. He's either like, oh, God, I'm glad I'm not a drill instructor anymore. Or they're like, God. Yeah, well, he showed up, I'm the new battery gunner, sergeant, blah, blah, blah. Field day is on Thursday. He's like, I will not accept any civilian linen on racks. Every lock will be set to 0. Every fucking shoe rack will be made, like your shoe display. Like, he wanted it like boot camp style. And then they were like, hey, Gunny, we don't have enough linen to give out to everybody. So guys have to buy their own. And he's like, well, belay that order for now. We will continue, but he was just such a fucking douchebag. Yeah. I don't remember his name. I wouldn't call him out, but God, it's guys like that though. You're like, dude, you're just making it unreasonably miserable. Like, there's no reason to be an asshole like this, That's why I don't, Sergeant Major Black, the new Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He was probably the worst Sergeant Major I worked with when he was at the 11th MEU. Oh my God, dude. The worst. He tried to block a couple of my best dudes from re-enlisting for just little shit. So we'd call back and have Sergeant Major Tracy Offit, featured guest on this show. He would do the paperwork on his end because this dude would try to fuck him and not let him re-enlist, or, oh, hey, he doesn't have this document for his tattoo. Oh, hey, it's just, hey, fucking put tape on that Nalgene bottle because it's not tactical as you're walking around the ship.
there was a lot of that at 10th Marine Regiment too. Like the last CO and Sergeant Major when I was there, and I understand order and discipline and standards, and I'm actually for it. But
yeah, it's a good thing.
But you have to, like, if we're out in the field and I think I was out there doing an evaluation and I was wearing my Mitch Kevlar and the nuts were stripped out on it. So I couldn't take it out and switch it from desert to green. So I would just put it on during fire missions anyways. And sometimes even for that, but the CO was coming to the hill. So I had my fucking brain bucket on and I had 2 handsets. I was controlling and approving fires from 2 different firing agencies, and the sergeant major, like, at least he waited until I was done with my fire mission.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me he, like, interrupted you.
No, he waited until I was done with my fire mission, then called me over to the corner and, like, tells me I'm,
Hey, devil dog, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Staff NCO, I expect better than this.
Exactly. And so, then I feel bad. I'm like, yeah, I was like, you're right. You know what? I should go to stiff and wear my normal Kevlar and make it up. But I'm like, but why wouldn't you say something about, the multiple fire missions that we're controlling or putting rounds down range or how accurate the batteries are being or how quickly fire missions are getting approved? All you care about is the fucking Kevlar cover, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
That's how you work in a ceremonial job.
Exactly.
I worry about how you look rather than how you act.
It's funny because they did a promotion ceremony like 2 days after that, and they were all at OP5 while we were live, and nobody was wearing gear in formation down at the base of the OP. I'm like,
well, it's safe down there, don't you know?
It's safe down there. You're good.
It's like if you wear a glow belt at night, you're safe. If you run on River Road and you have a glow belt on, you're safe. If you take that thing off, you're likely going to get hit by a car. Chances go up.
A week later, we're in Fiddler's Green trying to explain to the CO and Sergeant Major why nobody wants to be retained.
Yeah. Where was Fiddler's Green at on 10th Marines?
It's the Staff NCO. It's just like on the other side. It was the Staff NCO gathering.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it's right. It's like so.
I didn't think they had one.
Yeah.
I was at Regiment, but I was at Regiment like for a couple months. Like I was there for over a year, but I was deployed or doing a workup for my advisor team the entire time. So the only time I was a staff NCO at Regiment was that time that I knew you. Those few months that we were there for teaching classes.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't even know there was a Fiddler's Green.
Yeah, I just kept on living that life.
It was a good life though, man. You got to go to every shoot, you got to teach people.
Yeah.
You're making a real difference. I think so. I think it's
and you definitely do. And I did enjoy teaching. I really enjoyed it when like Marines enjoyed it,
Yeah.
But
there's always guys that don't want to be there, but there's guys that are like, you can tell they like it. They're glad they're getting it. They understand the seriousness of it.
The JFO primer was the bane of my existence because everybody would send their Marines to the JFO primer, even if there was no way they were going to get a seat at JFO school. Mm-hmm. So I'm teaching like all these 03 dum-dums, the exact same thing that I'm teaching them how to be like a basic 0861. I feel like they should be able to read a map because they're, an infantryman. A lot of them can't.
No, it's surprising how many people eat. Well, there's a lot of all kinds of Marines that can't read maps.
Yeah. But I accept, like, if you're like an administrator and you don't know how to read a map, you should be able to know how to read a map, but I understand that you don't know how to read a map. Like, that's not your job.
But a corporal infantryman should.
Corporal infantryman or a lance corporal infantryman, any infantryman, I feel like should be able to read a map and at least understand the basics of a call for fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have somebody that's a real, knuckle dragger and you're really trying to you have to talk them through step by step.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That wears on you after a while.
Yeah. I think the biggest issues I always had with the JFO classes were they were just so fucking big and you have to run guys through so many sims and there weren't enough instructors. So you'd be playing the battery and the aircraft and the JFO or the air officer.
Using different voices.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here talking to myself like I'm a fucking maniac. But teaching those classes made me as good as I was and as confident as I was. Yeah. Because over and over again, I'm getting the basics over and over again. You're getting that because we were updating the classes from what they were teaching at land. They'd come back with the new CD of whatever changes were, and then we would turn around and teach that. And then we would go out to the hill and do it. So, we were in the best position. I told people at First ANGLICO this. I was talking about it with Andrew Tomorrow and Joel Flores on the last episode, how when I got to ANGLICO, I was let down by the quality of the JFOs there compared to the ones that we had at 10th Marines. You know, because we had some good. Remember that fucking JFO room that we made that had the cami netting?
T's fucking baby.
Did you guys keep that? Did that stay there for? Oh.
We ended up having to give up that whole building to I think the S4.
Oh no way! You guys moved out of that building?
Yeah, they moved. So they built another similar type room, but it was like in the command suite of one of the other buildings across the street, and they had like two different rooms set up with DVTs, and then there was like a master control station, and we had a bunch of, it was still pretty good setup.
That was sick. For those that don't know what we're talking about, they have these laptop computers called the DVTE, and it's like you can go on and play almost like a video game where you're playing like a JTAC. But I'm on the other side of the wall. We'd run the LAN cable over the wall and to the other room, and I've got the master computer, and I'm flying actual aircraft, and I'm bringing in I have artillery missions and stuff like that. And I'd have two instructors, one dude on one hook acting as one platform, one dude on one hook acting as another platform. We would put a CD player with machine gun fire going off. The desk that they were sitting at was completely covered in cami netting, like they were sitting in a huge cami netting hole. The light was turned off, and there was a smoke machine and a strobe light. And they had to use their flashlights and their headlamps and stuff to see anything except for what the light the computer gave them. But that was really good, man. It was fucking stressful for sure.
I'll tell you what, of Marines that I enjoyed working for, Mass Sergeant Crenti is like gotta be near the top. You know?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I
need to hit him up and see if he'd come on the show.
I'm sure he would. He was cool. Last I knew, he was the JTAC. He was the JTAC.
He's retired, Holmes.
Whatever at MSOB.
No, he's retired.
He went over to courthouse. But did he retire?
Yeah, he retired from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to hit him up and see if he'll come on. I hit up old Mr. McIntyre. I was like, "What's up, man? Yeah. I got a podcast. I need you to come on, wear an Afatids hat, and let everybody on the East Coast reminisce about your Afatids." Or I don't know. Did you know him? I guess you weren't really at 10th Marine very long.
Yeah. Mac was he was the guy that was there when I first came over to N Street. That was the Afatids guru.
Wizard, dude. That dude would come out to Fort Bragg. You'd be working on something on this computer, like, "This is bullshit. It's not working. This won't load." Hours. He'll come out and be like, "Did you try this?" And you'll do it. And like, "God damn it!
Damn, why couldn't I figure that out?"
God, he was a wizard at it.
Yeah, the guy that came out and replaced, I can't remember his name now, but he was of comparable quality as far as a Fated's knowledge was concerned. Yeah. So,
but did he come in with a different colored hat on every day? A different Fated's hat on. See,
he was not nearly as country as
he's super country too. He lives out. I think he lives in North Carolina, still up in the mountains, but he always puts pictures up of like his game cam animal, like deer and stuff that are in his yard. Like he's just living out, like, living in suspenders.
Dude is well paid.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was a retired Master Guns.
He's retired Master Guns. He probably got his disability rolling into. Then he retired from Fateds. I mean,
yeah, whatever that contract, or I don't know if that was contract or if that was a GS job, but
he was there forever. I know he draws a retirement because I know he said he's doing all right.
I'm sure. All right, man. Well, we're just over 2 hours, so I think I'm going to cut it off here.
Sounds good. I won't have to make you edit too much.
Nah, I'm clip off the very little bit at the very beginning, and that's it. Do you want to throw out any organizations? Like, what student organizations would you recommend for veterans?
Every university probably has some kind of student veteran organization that you can get into. I recommend getting involved, man. I mean, what's helped me so much through school is just being able to connect with other veterans, and kind of got me through that first year, especially the second semester is probably the worst for me. But, it's nice to have that camaraderie, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything they say all the time. But yeah. And I would recommend anybody that's a student or is getting out and getting ready to go into the student life, get together with an organization that's veteran oriented, and then get together with one that's not veteran oriented, so that you can have a little bit of yin and yang in your life, and not just become the bro vet.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm towing that line pretty hard with my website and stuff. But
I mean, you provide a service though.
Yeah, I don't have any super really motard like stuff. It's all stuff that people want for their units and shit. But well, whatever.
I mean, there's a market for that. That's business, my friend.
Yeah, hey man, it's paying my bills. It's for right now. Thank you everyone. That's checking out jkramergraphics.com. Make sure to do that.
Boom. Nice.
Pick up a flag. Flags are super popular right now. And people hit me up. Some lady hit me up. She's like, "Hey, I was wanting to get this MARSOC flag, but this other website charges $70. Is it the same one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm selling the same flags that most people are for like walls and stuff, but I just don't charge an outrageous amount. I tried to keep all the prices for my stuff pretty low because I want people to buy it. You know, like I want to be able to be a Lance Corporal can't afford a fucking $30 or $40 hoodie, which is what a lot of websites charge for a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, my buddy Kyle, I remember one time we were like going back and forth on Facebook because he was asking if you had the graphic so he could put it on a hoodie. And I'm like, dude, just buy it from him, man. He's not going to give you the graphic.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, can you hook it up? I'm using it for something else." I'm like, "Nah, dude. I mean, I would. It's my livelihood, bro. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
I can print it and send you a new hoodie today. What do you want? You know? Oh well. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on again. I'll probably have you on at some point later on. You know, you can come back and talk about your internship, or you know,
definitely.
Or we'll talk more about China and stuff like that because you're probably the person I know that knows the most about it.
How's that, Shwena? Which means I'm just studying.
All right, dude. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, man. You too. Good talking to you, brother.
You too. Later.
Later.